To the ballpark for an NL West matchup featuring two of the brightest young stars in the game.
Carlos Gonzalez among the National League leaders in virtually every offensive category. Carlos Quentin has provided the Padres with a legitimate middle-of-the-order bat. And welcome to hot, lower downtown Denver. 20th and Blake, that's where Coors Field is situated. And welcome inside. The Rockies entertaining their longtime NL West rivals, the San Diego Padres. And good day, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the weekend thus far. With Mark Grant, I'm Drew Goodman. Well, the season has not gone as planned for the Rockies or the San Diego Padres. We begin today first with San Diego. As they look to have growth in the second half, Mark, where will it come from?
I think it's going to be Carlos Quentin. Everybody loves pop in the lineup. This is something the San Diego Padres have been lacking since Adrian Gonzalez went to the Boston Red Sox. He hits to all fields, and he makes everybody in the lineup much better. When people are on base for Carlos Quentin, RBI situation, and who's ever hitting in front of Carlos Quentin is going to see some good pitches as well. He's been a great blow to this lineup.
Well, he hit a home run last night. For the Rockies, if you followed them, you know pitching has been the culprit. Starting pitching has been the main culprit. As they look to have growth in the second half, where will that come from?
I would go to the ticket office right now and buy a ticket to watch Carlos Gonzalez, a 5-tool player. He should be an all-star this year. He's putting up great numbers. He's a showstopper. When he comes to the plate, everybody stops. Concession sales goes down to watch this kid play. He's fun to watch.
He has been amazing. He's one of those 5-tool players that actually brings all 5 tools on a nightly basis. It is Carlos Gonzalez and Carlos Quentin, the Rockies and the Padres. Come on back to Coors Field with us. Denver, the Rockies and Padres getting together last night. The Rockies won 10-2 over San Diego. They have won 2 games in a row for the first time in quite some time. More on that in a moment. Here's the Padres lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Chase Headley has been swinging the bat well all year long for San Diego, and there's the aforementioned Carlos Quentin in the middle. Grandal has very limited experience, but he's hitting in the 5-hole. Just called back from Tucson earlier in the day when Nick Hundley was sent out. And the lineup that Christian Friedrich will oppose, you just saw. And Christian is making his 11th big league start. His first big league start came in San Diego and was one of his better starts to date.
And he knows this San Diego Padre lineup. The 24-year-old, 2008 homegrown Colorado Rocky. He throws a fastball, curve, change, and a slider. He's got to be economical with the pitches, because with the new philosophy of these Rockies, Project 5183, 75 pitches. Hopefully he goes deep into the game for the Rockies and keep the ball in the yard. 55 in the 3rd innings pitched. He's given up 9 home runs.
Oh, we mentioned it is quite warm. It has been quite warm, and you know this entire state has been battling wildfires for several weeks, and we wish all of the folks that have been affected well, and the firefighters well, who've been battling 24 hours a day. It's 92 degrees, and it may get a little more overcast as the afternoon progresses. The opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Great, grab some buds. Great crowd on hand at Coors Field. Folks still filing in. A little bit earlier start time than they're accustomed to on a Saturday. A little after 5 o'clock local time as Chris DeNorfia steps in. And the first pitch on the ground is short. Marco Scudero's there. 1 pitch, 1 out. And let's take a look at the gloves defensively for the Rockies. They'll have Carlos Gonzalez, Dexter Fowler, and Michael Kadire in the outfield. Jordan Pacheco, a converted catchers at third base. Marco Scudero, as we mentioned, with 7 errors at shortstop. Troy Tulowitzki remains out. Chris Nelson, Todd Helton on the right side, and the rookie Willeen Rosario is behind the plate. With 1 out, Logan Forsythe, University of Arkansas product, will step in.
Now, in last night's game, Drew, these San Diego Padres swung at the first 3 pitches thrown by Jeff Francis. Chris DeNorfia swings at the first pitch. Forsythe being a little bit more patient.
Now, the first man up was DeNorfia, and he doubled. After that, 10 straight were retired by Jeff Francis. I hadn't seen the first pitch swung at by the first 3 hitters in a game, maybe ever.
The philosophy was, if they saw the fastball, they were going to hack it. They didn't want to be getting the hole and face the off-speed stuff.
They took it to heart, but Jeff Francis was very good for 6 innings yesterday. One of the better starts the Rockies have had in a while. In fact, with Francis winning last night on June the 29th, the last starting pitcher to win a ball game for the Rockies was back on June 4th. This is off of Friedrich, and he recovers, but not in time, and then he throws it past Todd Helton up the right field line, and Forsythe's going to get all the way to third base on this. And then it was very nearly thrown away. Had that not been blocked by Rosario, you would have seen a Little League home run.
I noticed a couple of things on this play. First of all, the rocket right up the box hits Friedrich, and then the possible collision at first base. Helton loses his glove. Bad situation for getting the wrist. It looks like the leg of Forsythe hits the right wrist of Todd Helton. Not only are they looking at Friedrich on that line drive, but also watch the glove hand of Todd Helton as Logan Forsythe races through the bag as if he's a sprinter trying to break that tape. Oof, gets it right on the right wrist of Todd Helton.
Todd's all right, but they're concerned right now, the Rockies, with
looks like
Christian Friedrich.
Down by the ankle. It looked like it was definitely down below the left knee, the shin area.
We know, Mark, what happened with Andy Pettit a few days ago when he was hit on a line drive, and Rockies fans all too familiar with pitchers getting hit. Juan Nicasio, a scary moment last August when he was hit in the temple and ended up on the fall breaking his neck. And Nicasio has come back. He's on the disabled list with another unrelated injury, a knee injury, and actually is working his way back right now.
So they're concentrating on Friedrich's push-off leg. That's the leg that was struck by the line drive. And you always have to be concerned if a pitcher gets hit anywhere with the ball, how that's going to alter his mechanics. A close eye from manager Jim Tracy on his left-handed starter.
Friedrich saying he's okay. I've never seen a pitcher who says, you know what, I'm not. I got to come out. Don't see it too much.
Let's flash back. May 9th, the Rockies in San Diego at Petco, the Major League debut. Now, this is a kid, Mark Grant, that worked out in the offseason with Cliff Lee, and you can see the similarities in delivery.
You mentioned Cliff Lee. Anybody who works out with Cliff Lee, if you don't take something away from working out with him, something's wrong. But he made great strides, I think, Christian Friedrich, when he defeated the Padres. A nice line for the youngster Major League debut at Petco Park.
And 7 punch outs, 1 walk. That'll get it done any day.
That is invaluable, getting a chance to work out with Cliff Lee and learn from the veteran.
And one of the hardest workers in the game, not only physically but also on the mental side of things. And I know Cliff's having a tough season so far. Last night didn't go his way either. Winless so far with Philadelphia, but I know it reaped benefits for Christian Friedrich. Here's Chase Headley. He seems to be, Mark, the steady man in that Padre lineup, the guy that Bud Black always writes in number 3, and then he assembles the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, he gives you a good at-bat. He will take a lot of pitches. 95% of the time he's going to come up there during the course of that bat. You're going to look at the scoreboard. It's going to be a full count, 3-2.
Pop up right side, Helton. And that is an enormous out. Situational at bat, and Chase Headley won't be happy. He could not get Forsythe home from third. Hey, big happy birthday to a guy that is impossible not to like. Bud Black turned 55 today. Longtime skipper of the Padres. Tremendous big league career.
One of the most positive gentlemen you'll ever want to meet. He and Jim Tracy kind of out of the same mold as far as keeping the troops positive. Even though things aren't going well for both ball clubs this year, that bodes well with this ball club for the Padres, because there's a lot of youngsters who look to the manager and they see how he reacts. He's very patient.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities. Here's Carlos Quentin. And the fastball away. You know, the Padres, the first part of the season was Quentin was nursing that knee injury, he had offseason knee surgery. Without him in the lineup, there's always a bat that you want to avoid if you're in the other dugout. Quentin's that bat if you're the Rockies.
Absolutely, and I'll be surprised if Friedrich really gives him much to hit here. That was a fat pitch that he fouled out of play. You know, the infield's playing back. They're conceding that run. There's 2 outs rather. But right here, even though with the runner at third base, if they walk him here, there's still a force at second base. They can go the short way. But in a situation where there's a runner on third and less than 2 outs, I'd be very surprised if they pitch to Carlos Quentin.
Well, you have a kid on deck who has 1 major league at bat in Grandal. He got a pitch to hit, and he hits a fly ball to right field. An easy play for Michael Kadire, so the error does not hurt. Christian Friedrich walks off. Middle of inning number 1, no score in Denver. Offensively for the first time. Here is their starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Dexter Fowler has really swung the bat well. 344, in fact, when he's leading off. Marco Scudero, Carlos Gonzalez, then Kadire and Helton in the middle. Willeen Rosario, good-looking rookie catcher, hit his 12th home run of the year last night. And they'll face a now veteran right-hander, Edinson Volquez, the former Cincinnati Red. When I think of Volquez, Mark, I think of that outstanding changeup.
Great changeup, great curveball, and that's a big key today for Volquez. If he's got the curveball working today and that command of the fastball, he should go deep into this ball game.
Volquez 2-2 all time against the Rockies. Turn and drive the baseball, but fouled by about 25 feet. That was a loud out, or loud strike. 0-1 as we look at Edinson Volquez's scouting report.
Well, it's good to see Volquez getting ahead. Strike one down the right field line. Command of the fastball is so key. If he gets ahead, he can throw his off-speed stuff out of the zone. And don't walk this way. No walks, no free passes. Because if he doesn't walk hitters, he does a pretty good job keeping them in the ball game.
54 walks coming in, the most in baseball. And there's that good changeup, 1-2.
And it can be a mechanical issue for Edinson Volquez as well. Sometimes that head of his will leak towards the first base dugout, and then he'll expose his front side. Therefore, he's working underneath of his pitches. He's got to work downhill. Drew, you talked about his changeup. He's got a good changeup. He will throw it any time. In his mechanics, as I mentioned, he's got to stay right on that straight line towards home plate. If that nose is going towards the catcher's glove, he should be all good.
And Dex will step out. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Fowler. Had a 9-game hitting streak snapped last night. It was 0 for 3 and a walk. And that's pulled into the seats foul. Fowler's one of those guys in a game of streakiness and roller coaster rides. He's one of those guys where the troughs are probably a little deeper than for other folks, but the height is even higher than most. And when he's hot, as he has been, he can be something else.
And Edinson Volquez knows that. I think he's trying to go soft on him, and he gets him right there.
Good pitch by Volquez, a hard curveball. And Fowler's dismissed. Defensively, the Padres will align in the following manner. In the outfield, it'll be Carlos Quentin, Cameron Maben, who covers a ton of ground. Kristen Orphy is in right. Chase Headley's at third. The kid Alexi Amarista is at shortstop. Logan Forsythe, Yonder Alonso, the rest of the infield. Alonso's made 8 errors, and Yasmani Grandal's behind the plate. And the first pitch in there to Marco Scudero is a strike. Scudero, first month of the season, he hit in hard luck. A lot of loud outs. But now all those line drives seem to be falling. He's got the average close to 290. This is served to center field, and Cameron Maben makes the catch. 2 outs, and here comes Carlos Gonzalez. We mentioned Cargo among the league leaders in virtually every offensive category. He scored more runs than anybody in baseball. He's second in the National League in RBIs, among league leaders in home runs. 365 at Coors Field since 2010.
He's got to be the Rockies All-Star this year. He's got to be representing Kansas City, no?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Should have been an All-Star probably 2 years ago when he was the National League batting champion. Hit 34 home runs that season as well. Way out in front and home ribbies. You got to take advantage of your ballpark. It's a great offensive ballpark, similar to Yankee Stadium for guys like Robinson Cano, who's on that list, Curtis Granderson, that short porch in right field.
Cargo knows this as well. He just squares it up no matter where the ball is pitched, it's going to go.
He hits the ball as hard as anybody in baseball. That's up 2-1. And Jim Tracy was telling us before the ball game today that what has made him especially dangerous this year is he is identifying pitches better as opposed to swinging it from his ankles to his the top of his helmet.
You see what Volquez is trying to do here. Early hard stuff and then pulling the string a little bit. And I think Cargo being on deck, looking at that curveball to Dexter Fowler, he's got to have that in the back of his mind as well. That's the one thing with Volquez. If he's on with his pitch, you just cannot sit on one pitch.
2 outs, nobody on. Here's the 2-2 to Gonzalez. Fastball at 95 runs away and it's out full.
You know, that's another key that the Padres would like to see Volquez. He's done that the last handful of starts. Come out of the bullpen, heating up right at 95. None of this starting at 91 and then itching way up to 95.
And this is served to left off the end of the bat and it's foul. Gonzalez is riding. We talk about his exploits at Coors Field. He's riding an 18-game Coors Field hitting streak in which he's hit .455 with 7 home runs and 20 ribbies. And it doesn't matter if you're righty or lefty. He's hitting over 300 against lefties.
You know the way I look at Cargo? If I'm pitching against Carlos Gonzalez, if I keep him in the yard, if I give up a single, I'm doing okay.
Job well done. Huh?
Exactly. He's going to get his hits and he's going to get his extra base hits. But if I battle him pitch for pitch and he ends up getting just a single, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Strike 3. Edinson Volquez. He's got the hammer going. You said he needed it today. He struck out Fowler with it and he gets Carlos Gonzalez. Well done, Edinson Volquez. In the first, we move on. No score. Budweiser is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Lower downtown Denver, better known to the locals as Lodo. Rockies and Padres, top of inning number 2 with 7-year veteran of the big leagues throwing the baseball, Mark Grant. I'm Drew Goodman. Edinson Volquez struck out Carlos Gonzalez with a good-looking curveball to end the bottom of the first. This is Yasmani Grandal, who was born in Cuba and raised in South Florida. He went to the University of Miami, a first-round pick out of the University of Miami just a couple of years ago. And the guy who's hitting behind him was a first-round pick out of the University of Miami 4 years ago, Yonder Alonso, both in the Cincinnati Reds organization. So the Reds doing a lot of scouting at the U.
Yeah, tremendous upside for Yasmani Grandal. He's got some work to do behind the plate as far as receiving, but manager for AAA Tucson Padres, Terry Kennedy, former catcher, raves about Grandal. He's made great strides this year behind the plate. But the kid's got some pop in his bat. Switch hitting catcher, that's always nice to have on your resume, isn't it?
If you can find those and guys that can catch and throw and be productive offensively, you can have a long big league career. Pretty good pitch, 0-2, and it's driven to fairly deep right field. Michael Kadire will go back and make the catch. One out as Grandal is retired. That'll bring up Yonder Alonso. Time now for this evening's Ford keys to the game. What do you have, Mark?
Well, the Padres going to this ball game 28-50, 16 games out. They need to play errorless, flawless baseball. Cannot give away extra outs. And for the Colorado Rockies, Jim Tracy, hey, with the new project they got going, the starter take him deep into the game, pass it to the pen, because when the Rocks lead after 6 innings, they're 15-2. At home.
Yonder Alonso swings through that. It's 0-1 on Alonso. You know, the game of baseball and the scouting of baseball, Mark, is always an interesting deal. This ball is lined to center field, and it's going to drop in front of Dexter Fowler. We'll pick up that thought in a moment. Right now, let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Drew, so much for that ballpark in Minneapolis holding down power. Josh Willingham has hit 10 of his 16 homers at home this season. Twins try to sweep a pair from the Royals up 2-0 early. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Back to Drew and Mudcat. Come on, Mudcat! Come on!
That's the biggest cheer you've heard in at least 30 years.
That's better than the text I get from you during the week. It's great to hear your voice, big man.
So now the cat's out of the bag, we can call you Mud the rest of the way. Cameron Maben takes down low. 1 out and 1 on. I was talking about the art of scouting. And in scouting, I think sometimes we fall into the trap of Willie Mays is going to get off the next bus. And we find what's wrong with somebody or what they don't do as opposed to what they do well. Case in point, the guy at first base, Yonder Alonso, corner infield guy, played a little bit in left field with Cincinnati. They want him to hit it over the wall. Well, that's not what he does. He hits a lot of doubles, though.
That's not his game, and that's a great point. And Petco Park not being a home run hitter's park, Yonder has come to that realization. Doubles are just as fine as getting hits like home runs. The home runs will come. If he squares it up, it will go. But he's come to that realization. It's a player knowing what he can and cannot do. That's a great point.
Yeah, and I think of an old San Diego Padre, the guy who made a return last year, Sean Burrows, who fell into the trap probably because of who his dad was. He's got to hit home runs. He's got to hit home runs. Well, he was a terrific hitter. He just didn't hit the ball over the wall.
He is what he is. You know, the same you say for Chase Headley for the Padres. I know that when he first came up to the big leagues, they wanted him to maybe turn on the baseball and said he was going to hit 20 to 30 home runs. No, Chase Headley's going to work the count. He's going to flare the ball the opposite side. Once in a while, he'll run into one. He'll split the gap. He is what he is.
2-1 on Maben, and that catches the zone also. It's 2-2.
Well, here's a guy that's been struggling for the San Diego Padres, Cameron Maben, doing a lot of thinking up at the plate, maybe too much thinking. And the one thing I've noticed, Drew, too many good pitches, letting them go by. Good fastballs.
Here's the 2-2, and he spikes a curveball, and Alonso is going to move up on the dirt ball. So Yonder Alonso on a wild pitch is now in scoring position with 1 out.
This is what is so important about the secondary lead for any runner on any base. When the ball is in the dirt, you anticipate that ball getting away from the catcher. When you see daylight, it's time to get off and get running. And that's exactly what Alonso did there. Nice pop-up slide, too. Got to love the pop-up slide. Old school. You don't see that very much.
Useful tool, though.
It is. That ball gets away, you can take another 90 feet.
3-2 on Maben, and Maben pops this up around the Rockies dugout. It's going to fall out of play. Cameron last night snapped an 0 for 19 slide. There's two guys with the Padres that were awarded nice deals in the offseason, Cameron Maybin and Nick Hundley, that have really scuffled this year. So much so for Nick Hundley, who was hitting 166, that this morning he was sent down to Tucson. And that's why you're seeing Yasmani Grandal in the lineup today.
Got to be tough for Nick Hundley. Here's a guy who's a homegrown Padre, 4+ years in the big league, signs the big lucrative deal, and then having to go to Tucson.
3-2, he got him. Christian Friedrich strikes out Maybin for out number 2 in the second inning. And that'll bring up Alexi Amarista. Hey, next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, the AL East leading Yankees will be in Boston to take on the Red Sox at Fenway. Another showdown between two of the sport's greatest rivals, where the Braves battle the Phillies. The Twins will be taking on the Rangers. Baseball Night in America telecast presented by Budweiser begins next Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 out west, only on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Amarista takes ball 1. 11 for his last 30. He has a couple of at-bats in the series last night. Came into the ball game late, had a double and a line out, and he's out in front of the breaking ball. So it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Interesting addition for the San Diego Padres. Alexi Amarista came from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for Ernesto Frieri, who's been doing great things for Los Angeles. But Alexi, he's listed at 5'7", Drew. He's about 5'5".
I'll post him up.
Big swing, doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't walk a lot. He's got a little bit of pop in his bat as well. So he'll surprise you once in a while. But he does need to cut down on the swing when the count is not in his favor.
In the air center field, Dexter Fowler will glide over and make the catch. Christian Friedrich leaves Yonder Alonso at second. Todd Helton, the grandmaster of Coors Field, will be hitting second when we return. By Bud Light Lime, summer is calling. Outside Coors Field, 20th and Blake. In lower downtown Denver, the Rockies expecting a crowd of above 45,000. Even though they're 16 games south of 500, they continue to draw very well. No score, Edinson Volquez against the former Twin, Michael Kadire. And that's poured over the outside corner at 95. So, Mark, to your point, Volquez is not pacing himself.
No, he's going right out of the gate as hard as he can go, 95, and that's a great located fastball. Whew. Tell you, when he's on, Drew, Edinson Volquez, he's electric. He's got the hammer working early today as well.
He's had an outstanding curveball. That's Dexter Fowler or Carlos Gonzalez, and Michael Kadire is gone on a slider. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that was an uno dos, adios. Breaky ball down and away, and Kadire has no choice but to try to offer and foul that off and get another crack at it, all because Edinson Volquez is getting ahead with that fastball.
Here's Helton. He was off last night. Not figuratively, literally, he had the night off.
Right.
Though some will say, and we can say this because we know Todd very well, that sometimes you could describe Todd as being off a little bit.
That's what makes him so special.
Absolutely. One of the best guys in the game and one of the most talented hitters of the last 15 years. What a resume that he has put together. Active players, first in on-base percentage, doubles, 567, a lifetime average at 320. You kidding me? 2,400 hits. There's going to be a special place for him
in upstate New York.
In upstate New York one day. This ball sliced foul.
A hitter who is always in scoring position when he steps foot in the box. Yeah, the pole is slowed down a little bit. He'll still run into one, though.
He hit a grand slam earlier this year, pinch hit grand slam to win a ball game. And this place absolutely almost came out of their chairs collectively, and they wanted to pile onto the field to join in on the celebration with Todd's teammates. One of the 3 or 4 most iconic sports figures in the history of this town. John Elway will always be number 1.
Absolutely. And Drew, would it be fair to say that, you know, Todd Helton, he can't play forever, but Colorado Rocky had the DL right now, Troy Tulowitzki. I mean, my goodness, you talk about a guy who's facing the organization when Todd Helton decides to hang him up.
They'll have 2. They'll have Tulowitzki and Gonzalez. And that's a perfect Todd Helton swing, and he's going to loop a base hit to left. I mean, Mark, when you're on the hill and you make a pitch like Volquez just did, all you can do is basically tip your cap, right?
It's almost along the same lines I was talking about Carlos Gonzalez. If you give him a single, yeah, that's okay. Why does Todd Helton put up the numbers? Because he's got great hand-eye coordination, great bat control, and he'll fight off a pitch. See how he gets his hands in near that belt buckle? Tries to get the fat part of the bat on that ball, but he just gets enough of it to airmail it to shallow left field for a knock. That's what makes him so good.
Jordan Pacheco at the plate, leading all rookies in baseball in average at 301. And if you're wondering, well, is this, you know, Coors Field where he's hitting 350, he's hitting 250 out on the road? No, he's hitting 295 out on the road. And Volquez misses with that fastball. No score. We're in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Drew Goodman and Mark Grant from Coors Field. Rockies and Padres, middle game of a 3-game set. The other thing about Helton, every time he gets a hit, he moves up the list and passes some other name that many books have been written about. He just tied Mickey Mantle from.
He was pretty good, if I recall.
Yeah, he was switch hitter, wore number 7, as I recall. I believe he played in New York. Tied the Mick for all-time hits now, 2,415.
That's awesome.
In fact, Helton a couple of weeks ago passed Mickey Mantle on the all-time extra base hit list, and Todd's least favorite subject is himself. I always say he's one of the worst interviews in baseball, unless you ask him about his teammates. Right. Then he's great. He's wonderful. And he allowed that he wanted that baseball to save it. And he's not a guy that has a lot of keepsakes, but he wanted that baseball when he passed Mickey Mantle. A walk to Pacheco. Now there's 2 on for Chris Nelson. with 1 out in the second.
Well, we know that Edinson Volquez has the curveball working. We know they can spot the fastball. Little bit of a mini jam here with 1 out. And Nelson has grounded into 4 double plays this year. He needs to think down to the zone, maybe a 2-seam action, and be alive left side of the infield.
And the first pitch in there to Nelson, who's hitting 7 of his last 8. 375 average, a couple home runs, 9 RBIs during that 8-game stretch. Rockies are giving him a good long look at second base, and so far they like what they've seen.
Well, Drew, Edinson Volquez 7 for 7 in the first pitch strike category this afternoon. That's a good sign. See, this is where he has to realize he doesn't have to do it all himself. Make one good quality pitch down in the zone, think down, think shoe tops, and let that grass work for him. Try to get a double play ball.
And that one slipped out of his hand.
See that front side kind of open up a little bit over towards the first base side. Therefore, you start casting. Yeah, I mean, you fished before. Colorado's a great state to go fishing. You know, when you cast your line.
I cast, but I don't catch anything.
Well, you kind of cut it short, right? You don't follow all the way through when you cast. Well, in pitching, you need to follow all the way through and get it out there in front.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Nelson. I'll tell you one of the things for the Padres, mud up the middle. They've got good energy. The kid Amarista, Logan Forsythe.
Absolutely. And if Edinson Volquez continues to have mechanics like this and go towards the plate, those middle infielders you're talking about, Drew, are going to get good action out there in that middle infield.
Volquez has been one of the staples for the Padres in their starting rotation. They have been decimated by injury.
13 starting pitchers this year for the Padres.
13. That's the most in baseball. The second most is 11, the Colorado Rockies. And there's no mystery as to why both teams have struggled so much this year.
When you don't have that consistency, chances are you're not going to win a lot of ball games.
And a strikeout of Nelson, 2 outs. So Volquez comes back after the walk to Pacheco. He's got his 4th punch out.
Edinson Volquez bringing the heat at 95. Every major league hitter likes the fastball, right? But Volquez thinks, you know what, I'm going to challenge you. That's got a little 2-run action to it, 2-seam action down and in, and he beats Nelson for the strikeout.
This kid coming up is interesting. Willeen Rosario, one of the better catching prospects in the game. He leads all rookies in baseball in home runs and RBIs with 1,034, despite the fact that he was sharing time with Ramon Hernandez, the former Padre, before Ramon went down a little more than a month ago. So now he's been the everyday catcher. He can hit a fastball. Now, if you spin it, Mark,
right,
he's still learning.
Serrano for Major League?
Yes.
Bats afraid of breaking balls?
Yes. Well, look at him last night. 8th inning with a man aboard against the left-hander Alex Hinshaw. He got the heat.
Fastball down and in. He spun on it. And when I looked at that pitch last night, it was amazing how he got his hands through, got the fat part of the bat on that ball. That was down and in. He spun on that pitch. I just love this kid's energy. You could see it behind the plate when he's giving signs, trying to pump up his pitchers.
23-year-old, second youngest on the Rockies roster. And the off-speed pitch misses, ball 1.
You know, I think on the Padres side of things, when you look at the Yasmani Grandal behind home plate, he's in the same situation as Rosario. Energetic. He's got upside with the lumber. you know, as a manager, you look at Bud Black and Jim Tracy, you would rather have a kid coming up who's a little bit more on the energetic side, so you can coach him down a little bit, rather than a guy who's kind of just, you know, mumbling around and doesn't really have that energy that you like to see.
And that's low. 3-0. Well, in a perfect world, you want 9 guys out on the field with energy. Maybe the pitcher can have a little bit more poise, but you better have, Mud, a catcher who has energy, because 8 guys are looking at him.
Exactly. You know where that energy for the Padres extends to? The shortstop and second base position recently, within the last month of the Padres.
Swinging 3-0 on the ground to Headley. He'll go the short way, and that's all for the Rockies in the second. Volquez has been on his game. Friedrich as well. No score. We'll go to the third. Presented by Budweiser. With Mark Grant, I'm Drew Goodman. Welcome back to Coors Field. No score. Edinson Volquez, and then the top of the order to face young Christian Friedrich, #1 pick out of Eastern Kentucky by the Rockies a few years ago. And we welcome in Mark Kotsay, veteran Mark Kotsay from the San Diego Padres. Second tour of duty with the Pods. And Mark, you got a little time off to visit with us right now. How you doing?
I got a ton of time off. I'm expected to play every day, so this is a journey that I enjoy, and I'm just happy to be a part of this organization.
First pitch of the third innings in there for a strike from Christian Friedrich against Volquez. How much studying in game do you do when you're looking at a guy like Friedrich? Are you taking notes in case you see him either later today or at some point down the road?
I think you take mental notes. You just kind of, as in my role, doing what I do late in the game, I basically have a loose focus on the game early on, and then I'll take myself into the locker room, stretch, go through a routine, hit the cage, and then I'm prepared for the relievers.
You know, one of the things that you've done quite well, Mark, this year is accepting your role. You talk about your role. How have you accepted that, and you know, do you utilize that and send that on to the younger players on the team?
I've realized I'm too old to play every day and that my body can't take it. I'm not one of those old guys that says, oh, I should be in the lineup, I should be in the lineup, I should be playing. So I enjoy it when I play, and when I get the opportunity, I try and take full advantage of it. But you know, pinch hitting, I look at myself as an offensive closer. Given the opportunity to come into a game in a big situation with the game on the line is to me funner than grinding through 8 innings or 9 innings of ABs.
2-2 on Volquez. Mark Kotsay, our guest, down in the Padres dugout. Well, you got a guy across the way that's been doing what you're doing now for quite a while, and Jason Giambi. You ever get together with him and compare notes?
We've compared notes a little bit. Jason's had a great career, one that I would love to emulate at this point. He's had this role that I've been doing now for a bit longer than myself, and hopefully I can continue in this game, in this role, for a few more years.
Volquez hits it to shallow left. Cargo coming on, and Gonzalez will make the catch. 1 out.
Well, Mark, you played for a lot of teams. It all started with the Florida Marlins back in the day. Second tour of duty with the Padres, and you've met so many people. I'm sure you've made great contacts. After your career is said and done, I mean, it might be 5 years from now, it might be 2 years from now.
I'm going to take your job.
What are your plans? Do you want to stay in the game, because you're a wealth of knowledge about this great game?
I love the game. It's given me a blessed life. This opportunity to have fun and doing what I enjoy to do is a great privilege. And to give back to the game is something that I think I'd like to do in the right situation. But I do have a great young family at home that I'd like to give a little more time and energy in.
Chris Denorfia at the plate. You got so many young, impressionable guys in that Padre clubhouse. Is it a day-to-day thing where you pass along wisdom, where you pick your spots?
You got to pick your spots. You never want to feel like you're the guy that's hovering over somebody or constantly nagging them. You give them information when you feel the time's right. But it's better when they come to you, when they're willing to listen and want the information, then that's the right time to kind of give it to them, not to be in their ear every day.
2-0 on Denorfia. He grounded to short his first time. Line shot, base hit, center field.
Mark, were there any young hitters or anybody in the lineup to ask about certain ways to approach Christian Friedrich today?
Well, I've never seen Friedrich, so my main theory on left-handed pitchers is to stay up the middle. You saw Yonder Alonso early in the game kind of hit a ball off the end of the bat, but in the right direction, out into left center. It looks like Friedrich's got a lot of downhill plane on his fastball. And a pretty decent breaking ball, so you got to try and get this kid up in the zone a little bit. He looks to me like he's, he tries to work down, and Logan did a good job of getting underneath the fastball in the first inning that ended up, being a hit, but hitting him off of the lower portion of his leg.
Denorfia at first with 1 out.
Okay, Mark Kotsay, we know what you did at Cal State Fullerton. You were the closer. Are you the designated emergency pitcher for the San Diego Padres?
I've paid Buddy off enough money to get that inning for sure. I told Buddy early on that I've pretty much done just about everything except for win a World Series. From a team standpoint and from a personal standpoint, the only thing that I've got left is to throw an inning in the big leagues.
Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask this question. In the year that is R.A. Dickey and the knuckleball, there's always a guy, and it's rarely a pitcher, as you know, Kotz, that has a great knuckleball. It's usually the number 2 catcher or the utility infielder. Who's got the best knuck on the Padres?
I'm not sure that answer. I know I surely don't. I used to throw a lot of knuckleballs in the outfield messing around, and the older you get, the more tendonitis you get in your fingers. So I've quit that pitch. But it's great to see R.A. Dickey. He was a teammate of mine on the USA team back in 1996 when he went through the beginning portion of his career. And I guarantee you there's going to be 6, 7, 8 older guys coming back to make an appearance next year with a knuckleball.
It's really a wonderful story, and he's reinvented himself. To me, the remarkable thing is how efficient he is with the knuckleball. There aren't pass balls, there aren't wild pitches.
Well, he's got to have a pretty good, decent catcher back there catching it. And I know his knuckleball is a little different in the sense that it's got a little more velocity on it than former teammate Tim Wakefield and former knuckleballer Charlie Huff.
best advice still on a knuckleball: wait till it stops rolling, pick it up, throw it back to the pitcher.
Bob Uecker had said that.
When it's high, let it fly. When it's low, let it go.
In the air to Dexter Fowler again. So Logan Forsythe is gone, and that'll bring up Chase Headley.
All right, Mark Kotsay, you've played in every division in Major League Baseball. What's your favorite?
Favorite division is probably any division in the central portion of the country because of the limited flight time. The older you get, you realize that the flight times matter the most. You can get in for a dinner on a travel day. When you play on one of the coasts, it eliminates all of it. It eliminates you know, those 9 p.m. Dinners. It eliminates the travel day that you have to leave at 10 in the morning as opposed to 8 at night. So I enjoyed the central divisions.
Have you made sure to save at least one jersey from a clubby from each stop?
You know, my son has my jerseys hanging in his room. We ran out of hooks, so I was thankful I came back to San Diego. This being my 8th different team, but it was a repeat team, so 7 teams in total.
And the Padres have had 37 different jerseys in the time that you've played for them, right?
You know, that's one of these new things, these new generation jerseys. You know, I'm fine with the grays and the whites and one blue, but the military jersey for the Padres is one that I love wearing on Sundays. It represents everything that this organization stands for in delivering the message that we love our country and we love the servicemen and women that serve it, and all we can do is basically just say thank you to them.
Absolutely. Well articulated and perfect for this weekend with the 4th of July coming up. Kotz, because you're a little bit older now, we're going to let you sit down and prepare yourself for a late game role. How about that?
Go take a nap, Mark.
That's outstanding. You know, one of the messages that I'd like to throw out there too is when you do a pitching change, if we could get a little bit more hustle on and off the field.
We'll see what effect we can have on that.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark Kotsay.
One of the best. Great addition for the Padres this offseason. His veteran presence, not only obviously what he does at the plate, but also in the clubhouse.
You absolutely got to have a guy like Kotsay. Bo McLaughlin is the new pitching coach for the Rockies. Bob Apodaca resigned and was reassigned a week ago, actually less than a week ago, after 10 years on the job. And McLaughlin was brought up from AAA Colorado Springs. Headley turns and lines us in the seats foul. 2-1 count. No score. We're in the 3rd inning. 2 outs. Krista Norfie is at first base. Chase Headley's from Fountain Fort Carson High School down in Colorado Springs. Chase, an interesting guy. He was the valedictorian of his high school class, so we know he's smarter than you and I, probably combined.
Yes, no question.
And his family and unaffected, and his friends unaffected by the fires, but he had great concern because he knows a lot of people down in the Colorado Springs area naturally. His family now lives in Tennessee, and that's where Chase makes his off-season home. But the fires hit close to Chase, having grown up in this state. Here's the 2-2, and that's high. 3-2 on Headley.
And Headley, a Tennessee volunteer, and he is not afraid to wear that orange jacket on the road at times. Very proud of that.
Well, he and Helt.
And it'll stick out in a crowd.
Orange generally does, along with your socks.
Yes. Sporting the green ones today, thank you.
Vibrant green. Here's the 3-2, and this one's fouled off.
Yeah, what do you know? You look up at the scoreboard and the count, 3-2 to Chase Headley.
He walks fair share at times.
I call him full count, Drew, because every time you look up there, it's 3-2.
He really has a good idea at the plate from both sides. And this time it's Friedrich winning the battle with Headley. Christian Friedrich pitching well through the first 3 innings. He'll lead things off when we come back. Pitcher's duel, that's what you expect when you come to Coors Field. That's what we have. Edinson Volquez and Christian Friedrich. And Friedrich's got a bat in his hand right now, and he takes ball one. Friedrich, then the top of the order, Dexter Fowler and Marco Scutaro, bottom of three. And it's 2-0.
Anybody with a bat in their hand is a threat as far as I'm concerned. And as a pitcher, swing it and swing it hard. You just might hit it. See how far it goes. It's kind of like on the driving range.
Is that your theory?
Who cares where it goes? Just hit it hard.
Friedrich takes a strike, 2-1.
You know, the Padre pitching staff has been swinging the bat well this year. RBI category, just putting the ball in play.
Well, you got help when you got Jason Marquis.
Great addition. Clayton Richard swinging the bat extremely well too for the Padres.
Good athlete, former quarterback at Michigan. Here's the 3-1 on Friedrich, and that's on the corner, 3-2.
Even though it's the pitcher at the plate here, Drew, this is such a huge at bat, a huge out for Volquez to get. It'll help his psyche if he strikes him out.
And that's not what you want to do. So Edinson Volquez, he's going to take a walk around the mound right now, clearly upset with himself. How often do we see that in baseball? The pitcher has a concentration lapse when the opposition pitcher comes up.
Well, we just saw it right there. He's had four 3-ball counts, and it's all about reacting, how the next hitter comes up the plate and get a quick out or get a grounder. Volquez can be his own worst enemy at times. But like I said, Drew, if a hitter comes up to the plate and it's the pitcher with a bat in their hand, you got to concentrate like it's the number 4 hitter. You can't have that lapse.
Great numbers for Fowler since May 1st. Headley's on the grass guarding against a bunt. Here's the 1-0, and that misses. 2-0. We have not identified our umpires yet. We apologize. Chris Caccioni, who's actually from Salida, Colorado. Good young umpire. He's behind the plate. Vic Carapaz at first, Bill Welke at second, Jeff Nelson is at third. It's a good group.
And one of the better pitching coaches in Major League Baseball, Darren Balsley for the San Diego Padres. Every pitcher that has come the Padres' way, he has ironed him out. He's made him a better pitcher. One of the things that Volquez falls into is working underneath the baseball, and also when the stride gets a little bit too long, then Edson will work underneath his pitches.
Here's the 2-0 now on Fowler.
Yeah, that's the best compliment that any pitching coach or catcher can get right after a visit. Pound a strike. Shook off the changeup to go to the fastball away.
And it's 3-1 on Fowler. Dexter leads the club in walks. Got an on-base percentage just below .390. Friedrich walked leading off the inning. And this is lifted to Cameron Maben in center. The stars align for the 2012 Major League Baseball All-Star Game as the best of the American League take on the National League's top players. Don't miss the action Tuesday, July the 10th at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. Well, that man will undoubtedly be headed to his first All-Star game. Probably should have gone 2 years ago when he ended up winning the National League batting crown. Marco Scutaro hit a fly ball to center his first time up. The 3-1 pitch was a big one to produce an out for Volquez. Scutaro hit .259 in April, .255 in May. In June, he has hit .343.
He's a pest. Put together good at-bats, putting the ball in play. Try not to do too much at the plate, and that's a sign of a good hitter. Shorten it up when you really need to. Big hole on the right side here. Trying to shoot that gap possibly if Volquez tries to pound that fastball away. You try to pull that fastball away, it's going to be a 6-4-3 double play. In fact, let's see if it happens here. Fastball away, called by Grandal.
2 balls and a strike. That was an interesting offseason move. Matt Latos going to Cincinnati, the protagonist in the deal, and then Volquez did some wonderful things in Cincinnati. Looked like a change of scenery perhaps was needed. Some good young players, including the backstop, came along in the deal.
Brad Boxberger, a minor league pitcher as well, and Yonder Alonso.
Latos threw the ball very well today for Cincinnati. Volquez, misleading record because he's had the 2nd worst run support in the game this year. Alonso's been solid, and Yasmani Grandal, according to Bud Black, not only is he now in the big leagues, but he's going to do the bulk of the catching going forward.
Absolutely. Volquez, if he, like you mentioned, if he got a little bit of support, he could very easily have 7 wins.
Yeah, flip the record around.
Yeah, exactly.
2-2 on Scudero. 3-2. A lot of deep pitch counts from Edinson Volquez. Next pitch is 57th here in the 3rd. Gonzalez is on deck.
A lot of deep counts, a lot of pitches thrown by Volquez. 3 balls to 5 of the last 6 hitters faced. Yonder Alonso playing behind the runner now at first base.
And that is in ball 4. The issue that has bothered Edinson Volquez is troublesome here in Denver. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break. Matty?
Hey, Drew, the Twins took the opener in their doubleheader with the Royals. Joe Mauer's first home run in nearly a month, already the 4th home run of the game. So much for that ballpark eating up power hitters. Minnesota leading in the nightcap. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Drew and Mark in Denver.
All right, Matt, thank you. 2 on, 1 out. And here's the guy Volquez did not want to see. Carlos Gonzalez. And he goes changeup down and in, and that misses. Cargo struck out on an outstanding curveball his first time up. He got locked up. It was a called strike 3. Coming into the ball game, 3 for 6 lifetime against Volquez. So not a lot of matchups, but some success for Gonzalez.
So he finished him off with the soft stuff, right? The curveball. That pitch there looked like either a spiked fastball or a changeup in the dirt. That was a changeup there. 83. One of the better pitches in baseball, I think. A good changeup. Why? Because the whip action, the arm action that Volquez possesses makes the hitter look like a fastball's coming.
Ball and a strike. And again, he goes soft, 2-1.
And a great job by Grandal.
And Mark, an interesting outfield alignment because the right fielder Denorfia, he'd need a cab to get to the foul line, and Maben shaded toward left center.
Yep. You know, that's a good point. If you throw him a changeup and it misses like down and in, that's a great opportunity for Gonzalez to hook that ball down the right field line.
Yeah, it's like the defense is playing one way, but you're pitching him a different way. This is a double play ball. And Forsythe is able to turn it over. Volquez, despite the walks, works out of it. We're scoreless as we go to the 4th. Today's game presented by Budweiser is sponsored by Ford. Go further. Rockies and Padres played last night, a 10-2 victory for Colorado. That gave them wins in consecutive ball games for the first time since June 3rd and 4th, amazingly enough. And Jeff Francis got the victory. First time a Rockies starting pitcher had won a ball game since June the 4th. A span of some 25 days. There's Carlos Quentin. He'll lead things off here in the 4th inning. Then Yasmani Grandal and Yonder Alonso to face Christian Friedrich. Well, Mark, this kid making just his 11th start in the big leagues. What are your thoughts on catching a glimpse of him?
Well, I like the way he works downhill. I like the way he pounds the strike zone. He's not afraid to challenge these big league hitters. And I think that's only going to make him successful. Free and easy motion. Ball jumps out of his hand, not overpowering by any stretch. But yeah, once in a while he'll hit 95, and he'll pop it on you as a surprise.
This ball's well hit right center field. Kadire on the track will reach up and make the catch. We hear that term downhill frequently. In the vernacular of a pitching coach, what do they mean?
Well, he's 6'4", so he gets that tall position over the rubber to where his arm gets up on top and he can throw the ball downhill. Let's say you're on a step of the dugout and somebody's 4 or 5 feet down from you, right? You get that downward plane rather than a ball coming straight into a hitter. It's easier for a hitter to look at a ball coming in straight, eye level, right? Well, when you stay tall and you throw the ball downhill, down towards the shoe tops of the knees, that's difficult to hit and difficult to square up.
You know what I just realized, by the way?
What's that?
That you two ought to speak the same language, you and Friedrich. He's from Evanston, Illinois.
Is he? He's an Illinois guy.
He's an Illinois guy.
Right.
Here's the 1-0 on Grandal. And Grandal gives it a ride to deep center field. Fowler going back, and he's going to watch it sail out. Yasmani Grandal with his first major league hit, and it's a home run. First big league start, first big league hit, first big league bomb, and it gives his team a lead. How about that?
Well, according to Terry Kennedy, the manager for the Tucson Padres, the bat was never a question. He's got some serious pop from the left and the right side of the plate. And I think, quite frankly, Drew, this ball would have been out of any ballpark. He squared that one up nicely.
Yeah, when the center fielder turns and kind of gives up, you've hit it a long way.
Oh, and did they give the rookie the silent treatment?
Look at the reception. Got a couple of fist bumps.
Yeah,
the
coaches gave him the high fives. But the rest.
That's classic.
The rest of the gang is like, okay, silent treatment. And then everybody joins in on the fun. That's great.
A boys' game played by adults with a boys' attitude, right?
And some negotiating going on to try to get that home run for Yasmani Grandal. Nice little keepsake.
You can't hold out for big prizes, though. The kid just got here. Here's the 2-1. That's on the corner, 2-2. Grandal in Tucson was hitting .335, 6 bombs and 35 RBIs. So to your point, no surprise, he can swing the bat.
Hey, you know about Colorado Springs. You know about Tucson, Arizona. The ball flies, right? He's going to hit the ball well at this level, I think.
Well, he hit that one well. It went 448 feet. Altitude or not, that's a long flight.
Yeah, my point is Colorado Springs, Tucson, it doesn't matter. With the reports that the Padres have gotten on that kid, he can flat out hit.
Good pitch. Friedrich strikes out Alonso for the second out of the inning. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian again at the MLB Network studios for a game break.
Drew, Diamondbacks and Brewers. Ryan Braun started play just 3 for his last 19, but this ball is smoked. Center field wall, the only thing preventing it from landing in Kenosha and Dat. Let's send it back to Drew and Mudcat in Denver.
Is that anywhere near the Racine Cheese Castle down there in Dat, Matty?
Oh, you've been to the Mars Cheese Castle, Mudcat. That's good eating.
Don't you know?
We knew you'd work in Kenosha somehow into the broadcast. Line shot, gloved by Scudero. Cameron Maben is gone in the inning. Yasmani Grandal, welcome to the big leagues. His first hit, it's a bomb, and the Padres lead the Rockies in Denver 1-0, middle of 4th. Our game festivities begin tomorrow with the selection show on TBS. Then on July 9th, don't miss the Home Run Derby on ESPN. And on Tuesday, July 10th, see the players arrive on the Red Carpet Show on MLB Network, followed by the 2012 All-Star Game here on Fox at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 out west. Michael Kadire in the 4th inning. He struck out on 3 pitches against Volquez his first time, and he takes away. Michael Kadire, first year in the National League, signed a 3-year, $30+ million deal, $31 million to be precise, in the offseason with the Rockies. And he has provided the Rockies with exactly what they thought they were getting. A very productive right-handed bat, a guy that plays one speed, and that is all out. Here's the 3-0. There's a strike, 3-1. And a tremendous, and I mean tremendous, clubhouse presence.
Great offseason signed by the Rockies. When that deal was done, I thought, boy, the Rockies just helped themselves dramatically. We know how the season has gone for the Rockies, but still.
But it hasn't. Mud, you were talking about this earlier. It has not been the fault of the offense.
Right.
The offense has been terrific. It really comes down, from a Rockies perspective, to one thing: their starting pitching has been awful, and there's no other way to describe it.
If you could, looking into the future, if the Rockies could shave a run and a half off that team ERA, especially the starters haven't done that well. My goodness, how the Rockies could be in contention and try to fight for a division title. Ranked first in a lot of categories. Second in hitting, first in runs, first in home runs.
That misses, and Kotsay walks. That's walk number 4 allowed by Volquez. He's allowed only 1 hit. That was the punch single to left by Helton.
See, that's the thing about Volquez. When you do a game that Edinson Volquez pitches and you have a lot of walks, it's emotionally draining. But then you look up at the scoreboard, he's only surrendered 1 hit. He just has to challenge these hitters with the fastball. Go right after him.
Outside ball 1. Helton, by way of that single in the second, now has a mini 6-game hitting streak going. Now, Jeff Francis has been really good his last 3 outings, but look at June from a rotation standpoint. You kidding me? 1-14 with a 9 ERA.
Unbelievable. It's a lot of deep counts. It's a lot of hitters going up there with salivating.
By contrast, the pen has done a very good job.
Yeah, they're ranked 9th in the National League with a 3.98 ERA. You know, if they could pass the baton to the bullpen, the starting pitchers that is, and get them to that bullpen, as I mentioned earlier, at home here. At home, the Rockies 15-2 when they lead after 6.
And that's why the organization about 2 weeks ago decided we're going to try something completely different. It's something that had been thought about internally before, and that's going to a 4-man rotation with a piggyback. They look at it more as a tandem deal, and the tandem guy today for Christian Friedrich is Jeremy Guthrie. And what we mean by that is the starter will go in the neighborhood of 75 pitches, and then the next guy in a perfect world will go 50 pitches or so. That'll be Guthrie, and then you hope you have a lead, and then you traditionally would hand it off to your late inning guys. Here's what's happened with the Rockies starting pitchers since they went to this 4-man rotation. Francis has been good 3 times. Friedrich, we'll go back to it in a moment, was pretty good. Runner going, swung on and missed, and Kotsay is in there with a stolen base. Helton is out at the plate. 5th strikeout for Volquez. And we go back to the graphic. So Francis was good. Friedrich was solid for 6 innings. Francis good. And then Francis last night was outstanding. 6 innings, 82 pitches. The problem is all those other guys, you want to go and say, okay, pass the baton. But Jim Tracy's probably going to get them before the 75 pitch mark anyhow, or in that neighborhood, because they were ineffective.
Exactly. And you know what I take it a step further. From a personal standpoint, when you look at the project. Oh,
this ball lined to left. And Pacheco is out.
And I'd like your input on this, Drew. From a personal standpoint, after all is said and done, however long this project goes on, come arbitration time, and you're a starter, how is that going to look?
Well, one of the things that's been discussed, if the Rockies do this long term, and they've made a commitment to do it this year, but if it is determined that this is what we feel works best for this organization going forward, and they've looked at trends and data for 20 years playing at altitude, which is an enormous challenge, particularly as you know, Mark, coming here so frequently from the pitching standpoint. If that's what they do going forward, they've talked about incentivizing pitchers after 40 innings and really kind of changing the way that you would pay pitchers to alleviate the concern of agents saying, well, hold on a second, my guy's never going to get a decision.
Right. That's my point.
And they've also said, you know, we'd like to push that 75 number to 90. Off-speed pitch, and Nelson's behind 1-2.
You know, I think if you talk to any manager, any pitching coach, it all boils down to making good quality pitches. Even if you're a rookie, if you're a 15-year veteran, if you make bad pitches, you're going to get crushed. Sure, you know, there's a big difference here in Colorado. Any ballpark, you make a bad pitch, you're going to pay. That's going to be interesting to see how this project works out.
And it's a fluid situation.
Right. there's room to grow, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, and I think they're going to continue to tinker with it. It's an experiment at the big league level, born out of necessity, because when you look at the numbers we showed you a moment ago, a 9 ERA, and it's not as if June has been an aberration. April and May weren't all that good from a starting standpoint either. Now, there's been some injuries. Chacin went down. De La Rosa hasn't come back yet. Jorge De La Rosa from the Tommy John a year ago. Here's the 1-2 on Nelson, and he's got. Boy, Volquez has nasty stuff, near unhittable stuff. Kadire left at second, 1-0 Padres. Home run by Yasmani Grandal, his first career hit, a home run. Well, throughout this region, we've all been battling fires for a while, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all the people affected, to the firefighters on the front line. The Rockies earlier today, Todd Helton, Matt Belisle helping collect money for fire relief efforts, and the Rockies will match the amount raised up to $50,000. Follow us at twitter.com. MLBON Fox, and you can help by going to one of these three organizations: helpcoloradonow.org, coloradoredcross.org, IamSalvationArmyUSA.org. There's been as many as 12 fires, wildfires, at different times here in the late spring and early summer. The fire, the High Park fire to the north and west of Fort Collins, should be fully contained. Good news by tomorrow. The Waldo Park fire down in Colorado Springs, which has claimed innumerable homes and a couple of lives as well, is about 45% contained. There's a fire outside of Boulder. There's one out west. It's really been remarkable, and you know all about fires making your home in the San Diego area.
I've had to evacuate my home. I live in East County. I've had to evacuate my home 3 times, and we know how important it is for the firefighters. They need the best. You know, they need the positive reinforcement, because San Diego firefighters coming up here to help out. You know, when the firefighters in San Diego needed help from all the region, Northern California, other states came to help out as well. So any way that you can help out, much appreciated. It needs some moisture too. It needs some rain.
Yeah, it's been very dry. Got a little bit of rain the other day, but any little bit now will help. 1-0 on Edinson Volquez after the strikeout of Alexi Amarista. 1-0 Padres in the 5th inning. Did this game get moved to Petco and we didn't get the message?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? We got ourselves a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel, as you mentioned a little bit ago.
Well, to your point,
it boils down to making good quality pitches.
Yeah, and Friedrich has 64 pitches as he works in the 5th inning. And we keep track of that now because of the Rockies' 75 or thereabouts pitch limit. Now, Jeff Francis, they pushed the edge of the envelope a little bit with him yesterday because he's been pitching so well. He ended up going 82 pitches. Scudero's got a long throw. He's got Volquez running. 2 outs. Ice Age 4 premieres July 13th in theaters everywhere. I don't know if I saw 2 and 3, but Ice Age 1 was really good.
I saw the first one and I loved it. In fact, I loved it so much I took my kids again to see it twice.
And then the 3rd time you just went by yourself, as I recall.
Well, I told them I was going to run some errands and I went to see it.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
It's a great film. Ice Age 4 coming. 2 outs and Chris Denorfia will come up.
You know, Christian Friedrich, just to elaborate on the young left-hander, one thing that sticks out to me, this kid's got some guts. He's not afraid. He doesn't pitch scared.
And if there's a place you're going to pitch scared, it's Coors Field. And Christian Friedrich, so far in his first 10 starts, his road ERA is 2.75, and his home ERA was like a good bowling score. An ERA close to 12 at home coming in, but he's been very good. 1-1. Volquez will try to cool off. Temperature at 93 degrees on the scoreboard thermometer. Fouled off. Denorfia is a great story we'll get to in a moment.
I wanted to talk about the downward plane from Christian Friedrich. Watch, see, his hand is going to be up here when he releases the ball, and he's going to get that downward plane. Okay, now he's not a low 3/4. You see it there. That was a little breaking ball, but sometimes lefties will come out there more towards the first base line to give you that low 3/4. Not Christian Friedrich. He hides the ball very well, coming right from the back of his head, and then that ball just jumps on you.
They're excited about him, the Rockies are. They think he has a chance to be very good. Denorfia at the plate out of Wheaton College. He was a Division III All-American. Proof that if you can play, they will find you. And he has himself a base hit to left.
Well, Chris Denorfia is one of those hitters. He's always going to give you a good at-bat. Short and quick to the baseball. Christian Friedrich tries to bury that fastball in. Hands through quickly, hitting that 5.5 hole to start a little 2-out lightning possibly for the San Diego Padres.
And the piggyback guy, as we told you earlier, is Jeremy Guthrie, and he's beginning to get loose in the Rockies bullpen. He was acquired from Baltimore in the offseason to kind of be the veteran anchor of the Rockies rotation. And he really struggled. He was removed from the rotation. And now he's operating in the middle innings. 2 outs. Denorfia can runs at first. Logan Forsythe is at the plate. And quickly a 2-strike count on Forsythe.
Well, that pitch count's getting up there. Drew, you mentioned it just a bit ago. That last toss was number 73 for Friedrich. And as you mentioned last night with Francis, there's some wiggle room. 2 outs here. If he gets Forsythe, that project is going to look golden.
And he will. He struck him out. That's strikeout number 5. And if it's the final pitch, good work for Christian Friedrich. His club trails 1-0, middle of 5.
Today's game presented by Budweiser is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Lovely day in Denver. The Padres have a 1-0 lead, courtesy of career home run #1 from their catcher Yasmani Grandal. Edinson Volquez has been marvelous, with the exception of 4 walks. And the first pitch is hit in the air to deep center field off the bat of Rosario, and he just tied it up. It's all about the young catchers, I guess. Home run number 13 for Willeen Rosario. He leads all rookies in home runs and RBIs. And like Grandal, he went dead central.
First pitch, curveball. If taken, probably a ball. That ball was up, it was in, and Rosario squares it up. Great effort by Cameron Maben. Just misses it over the center field wall. How close was it? He timed it perfectly. And the little body English, Rosario helping that ball to get over the wall. Tell you what, that pitch there, a curveball up. He wanted it down and away, but how he squared that ball up is amazing.
Yeah, you know, off the bat, I didn't think he clipped it as well as he obviously did. Christian Friedrich will be pinch hit for after going 5 innings. And that home run guarantees that he'll get, at the very least, a no decision. Eric Young Jr. will pinch hit. It's kind of been his role. Pinch hitting now in the middle innings, or pinch running late. He can fly. 2-0 count on Eric Young Jr. His dad, first base coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks, will always be a legendary figure in Denver by way of a very good career with the Rockies in their early days. Probably most especially because he hit a home run leading off at Mile High Stadium in the first major league game ever in Denver. 2-1 on Junior.
You know, I was just about to say, as this inning started, bottom of the order, 8-9-1. Important inning for Volquez to get through it quickly with the 1-0 lead. Now let's see how he reacts after that ball off the bat of Rosario.
Well, this is not a guy he wants to put on base. You look at Friedrich's numbers as he visits with the new pitching coach, Bo McLaughlin. By the way, for Rosario, not only does he lead all rookies in baseball in home runs and ribbies, he leads all National League catchers in home runs. Just moved ahead of Yadier Molina, despite the fact that he has 50 less at bats than Molina. Ball 4, and Volquez again looks off in disgust. He has allowed just 2 hits, but that's the 5th walk issued, and now you're talking about one of the elite base stealers in the National League at first.
It's all about location. I want to talk about that home run off the bat of Rosario. All about location, because look at where Grandal is set up. He wants the curveball there. On contact, you talk about missing big time. How he got that top hand on top of that ball to send it out of the yard rather than just a fly ball to center field.
That's a beautiful bunt by Fowler, and the throw goes down the right field line by Grandal. Eric Young around third. He's being sent home. The throw will go to third. Fowler is out at third. The run scores. 2-1 Colorado. That was interesting.
Well, first of all, you could not place this bunt any better down the third base line. A clinic, perfectly placed, airmailed. Now everybody is off to the races. And what did I say before the game? One of the keys for the Padres: errorless flawless baseball. The Padres cannot afford to be throwing the ball around. They do get an out. How close was it? Headley on the tag. Ooh, that's very close. That's a very close call. You know, Fowler's looking at the play. He's got to be concentrating on getting to third base. When he was rounding second, he was looking back at the play. If he's got the go-ahead to go to third base, don't worry about what's going on behind you. Go full bore to third base.
It's a bunt base hit, obviously, and then an error allowing Young to come all the way around and score.
See, Headley kind of does the old swipe. He's got to get his body down in front of there to try to block him, even though he does get the out, but it was very, very close.
0-2 on Marco Scudero, and he gets plugged. So Scudero will go to first with one out, and here comes Gonzalez. That was an 0-2 pitch.
Well, the last thing Edson Volquez wants to do is have the wheels come off here. He's got to keep the focus pitch by pitch. He just realized, he just looked back to Amarista. I've got you on the comebacker in case of a ball back to me for the double play. A little coaching going on by Chase Headley, trying to calm him down a little bit.
Gonzalez the strikeout, and he grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. And that's in, ball one. Cargo the last 6 weeks hitting .383. Through mid-May he was hitting .294. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But now he's among the league leaders in hitting in virtually every other offensive category. This ball back up the middle, and there's one, and there's two. Another double play. Nice job by Amarista getting to the baseball. Rockies take the lead. A little help from the Padres defense. 2-1. Budweiser is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Bars and restaurants hopping on a Saturday evening in Lodo. The Rockies have taken a 2-1 lead as we go to the 6th inning. A home run by Willeen Rosario, and then a walk, a bunt hit, and a throwing error by the young catcher Yasmani Grandal provided another run for the Rockies. So now Christian Friedrich's on the plus side. He departs after 5 innings, allowed a run on 5 hits, didn't walk anybody, struck out 5, and the veteran right-hander Jeremy Guthrie's aboard. Chase Headley leading things off 3, 4, and 5 in the 6th inning for the Friars. Change up for a strike.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Drew, that Guthrie, who was a starter, now making that adjustment to the bullpen. Since that move to the bullpen, Guthrie 10 in the 3rd innings pitched, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, a nice ERA of 2.61.
Ground ball to Chris Nelson. Let's go back to that throwing error. Great bunt by Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, Fowler goes through first base. He realizes the ball's down the line. Pick up the third base coach. He does that. Rich Dower waves him, but yet he's looking back. And we've known as base runners, especially in spring training, they work on it. Once you're committed to second base, you get the green light from your third base coach. It's your job to put it on. And nobody feels worse probably than Dexter Fowler right there getting thrown out of third base. The potential for a big inning for these Rockies.
So with 1 out, Carlos Quentin up. He gets jammed. How good's Quentin been since returning from knee surgery? He's got an on-base percentage of .443. And the Padres are not going to strike fear in many teams with the lineup they roll out there offensively. But this is a guy you must respect if the game is tight.
Absolutely. He just brings so much to the table for the Padres, and hopefully for the Padres' sake, there's situations to where he can make that one big difference in a ball game.
A lot of big numbers on the south side of Chicago with the White Sox.
And he put up MVP numbers.
Stanford product, came home. He's from University High School in San Diego, and that's not far into Quentin. He gets hit about once every 2 days. I think that's 106 times for Quentin in his career. It's like the human pincushion. He and Don Baylor.
Yeah, and Craig Biggio.
And Ron Hunt. Don't want to leave Ronnie Hunt out. This July, don't miss the biggest event of the summer as baseball's greatest stars battle for a home field advantage in the Fall Classic. The road to the World Series begins with the 2012 MLB All-Star Game, Tuesday, July 10th at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. So here's Grandal from the left side. His last at bat from the right side, he went to center field and then some. 448 feet. Look at the reception he got.
Total blow off. Got a couple high fives from Darren Balsley.
This ball's lined to deep left field. Gonzalez is going to watch it sail out. How about the kid? He's hit a 2-run home run. He's got one from the left side now to go with the one he hit from the right side. He just put his team back in front. My bad on the error. I'll take care of it.
And you know what? Instead of the silent treatment, they better be on their knees and waving up and down for Yasmani Grandal after that second home run.
All right, let's see the reception this time. More conventional.
Now that's a big league reception there.
Yeah. How about that? He goes oppo.
He's got some pop to the opposite field. He showed that the last time that he was called up to San Diego. He flew out to deep left field at Petco. This pitch away, probably have taken a ball off the plate. Look at it. You see his head on that ball. Good looking swing from both sides of the plate this afternoon.
So the Padres out in front 3-2. Yasmani Grandal has driven in all 3. First 2 career hits. This is an easy game. Born and raised in Cuba till he was 10. Came to South Florida. Eventually matriculated at the University of Miami, where he was an All-American.
Almost identical stories. The guy at the plate, Yonder Alonso.
Alonso bounces to Nelson with 2 outs. That'll bring up Cameron Maben. Cameron Maben had a storied high school career. He's a first-round pick out of North Carolina. He played for an elite team out of Cincinnati called the Midland Redskins, which is a legendary team in Connie Mack baseball. And those two gentlemen played for East Cobb, which is a legendary program down in the Atlanta area. Chris Nelson and Dexter Fowler. They played against each other several times, including in the World Series in Farmington, New Mexico. That's where the Connie Mack World Series held every year. And I was talking to Maben about his first exposure to Chris Nelson. He goes, what I remember about Chris Nelson is, I said, that dude is going to be the greatest pitcher in the major leagues one day because he threw 100 when he was 17. That's a true story. And Nelson hit 101, in fact, in that tournament on the gun. And
as a 17-year-old.
As a 17-year-old. And then Maben was facing him, and he hit Maben with a curveball in the helmet. The next hitter came up. 3 fastballs later, you could hear an audible pop, and he tore his UCL, his ulnar collateral ligament, and ultimately had to have Tommy John surgery. Was never on the mound again, and has made it to the big leagues. He was a #1 pick out of high school in Georgia as well, originally as a shortstop, but he was 100 miles an hour on the hill. And Cameron Maben said, that guy's going to be the greatest pitcher I've ever seen. And Maben hits it in the air to his old friend Dexter Fowler. Well, how about Yasmani Grandal? First big league start. Couple hits, couple home runs, 3 ribbies, and he's got his club out in front.
Brigade, and this is my Command Sergeant Major Eric Taylor, and we just wanted to say Happy 4th of July!
And we appreciate greatly all of your service overseas, and a happy 4th of July to one and all. Looking in today, Drew Goodman, Mark Grant from Coors Field in lower downtown Denver. Good ball game. Well pitched ball game. 3-2 San Diego, bottom of the 6th inning. Edison Volquez will face the cleanup man Michael Kadire. This is the spot normally occupied by Troy Tulowitzki, who will be out at least another 6 weeks or so. He had surgery to remove some scar tissue on a nerve in the groin area. Been bothering him throughout the year. And so the Rockies have been out without their all-star shortstop for a month.
Big shoes to fill, huh? Offensively and defensively.
Probably impossible for anybody to fill that by themselves. 0-2 on Kadire.
changeup in the dirt.
Oh, what a huge inning now for Volquez. Now that the Padres have taken the lead thanks to Yasmani Grandal.
Dyer last night a home run and a double. He's among the top 10 in ribbies in the National League with 49. This guy's as steady as they come. Michael Dyer at the plate. 1-2. And strike 3. He knew it. Man, Volquez has been outstanding. This MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Well, back upstairs with Mud, Mark Grant. I'm Drew Goodman. Good ball game, and I guess this is proof that you can pitch well at Coors Field.
You can. It's all about making quality pitches. I mean, Friedrich is pitching a gym. He pitched a gym rather. And Edson Volquez, the big thing about him being successful, and Darren Balsley told me this before the game, if the curveball is working today, he's going to have some success. He's up around 100 pitches right now, but he'll throw the curveball, changeup anytime. Doesn't matter what the count is, who's on base. He's got that much confidence in him.
And that last pitch was number 100. So 1-1 count on Helt. He has one of the Rockies' 3 hits. Seven strikeouts for Volquez.
The other thing about Volquez, you know, sure, this is the big leagues, very competitive. This kid has fun out on the mound, and he wears his emotions out in his sleeve. And Buddy Black has said, you know, it's not a bad thing. He's just got to learn how to channel it and go pitch to pitch. The good pitchers can do that. Sure, you're going to get ticked off after a bad pitch, but how do you respond after making that bad pitch?
Well, he's responded very well in this game. For walking 5 and hitting a guy. Had the error not occurred, you're talking about allowing just 1 run.
And I look at that last pitch, Drew. That was pitch 102. It was a 1-2 count. Helton, it's a fastball. You know, Helton can hit a fastball, and yet he fouls it out over the Padres dugout. It just goes to show you the kind of a fastball he's got and how he can put hitters away with that fastball.
Let me ask you a question. We've lived in the era of the pitch count. Now we know what Nolan Ryan thinks of the pitch count. You pitched in the big leagues for a long time, 7+ years.
I'm not a fan of it. You know why? My pitch count, if you want to call it a pitch count, is how are the hitters taking swings off of your pitcher in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning if he goes that far. That will dictate whether I go to the bullpen or not.
Rolled down the first base line.
But I still think there are valid reports out there that indicate when a pitcher has a tendency to start, quote, losing it. But still, I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out when your pitcher has had enough. If the curveball is starting to roll, if the location of the fastball is off, you know, that's when you start getting the arms loose in that bullpen and pick him up. The only time I think pitch count should be in effect is when a guy's coming back from an injury.
Volquez pulls the string again, and pitch number 105. He has struck out Todd Helton, his 8th punch out. 2 gone in the 6th inning. Pacheco coming up. If you're late to the party, here's what's transpired so far. Yasmani Grandal making his first career start. Just called back to the big leagues today. He had 1 other at bat prior to this in the big leagues. He's got 2 home runs today. The switch hitting catcher, 1 from the right side, a 2-run shot a few moments ago from the left side to give the Padres a 3-2 lead. Willeen Rosario, his counterpart behind the plate for the Rockies, has hit a home run. And Volquez has been terrific. Friedrich, who started for the Rockies and went 5 innings, was very good.
And believe me, there's nothing that the Padres want more than to hang on to this victory Volquez handed over to the bullpen because they want the kid, Grandal. How sweet would it be for him to have that deciding swing and the difference in this ball game? He looks good behind the plate too.
He's quiet.
Yes, and you know it's a big target, but did you see him stick that pitch? The pitch was thrown. You know, when a catcher sticks a pitch, doesn't bring it out of the zone. I think that's huge. That's a huge asset for any catcher.
Stop the action.
Exactly.
There's a changeup low, 2-1.
Always love the big target behind the plate.
Well, the kid's gone Calico Joe on us. John Grisham's new best-selling book. Did you read it yet?
Have not.
It's great.
Does it have a lot of pictures in it? Because if it does, I'm in.
No, I'll read it.
I'll go buy it after the game.
I'll read it to you.
You got it on tape?
Catch up again.
Books on tape?
I'll buy it for you. I'll take care of you. No pictures, Mud, but even you can get through it. Kid breaks into the big leagues, goes on an unconscious tear.
Right. Love stories like that.
Yeah. That was fiction. This is not.
I love the story of the kid drafted in the 40th round. I mean, it's easy for the #1 pick to go to the big leagues and, you know, do great. I love the Padres have one. Joe Thatcher, the left-hander, pitched independent ball. Now he's an integral part of the Padres bullpen. Left-handed specialist. Stories like that I love.
3-2, and this is bounce foul. Well, the most famous late pick, in all likelihood, will be headed to Cooperstown next summer, and that's Mike Piazza, who was taken in the 62nd round. There isn't even a 62nd round existing anymore. They've stopped it at 40 rounds now. I'll tell you a quick Piazza story, true story. Doug Moe, who's a longtime basketball coach here in Denver. Yeah. He's a huge fantasy baseball guy. We were playing in one of those rotisserie leagues many years ago, and we got to like the 23rd round of the fantasy draft, and I didn't have a catcher, and he had all these computer printout sheets. I had nothing, and he said, "Here, draft this guy. The Dodgers are going to bring him up this year. His name's Pizza or something." I said, "Pizza? I ain't drafting that guy." I took Ron Karkovice. Pizza turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, he did. That's good with deep dish. That's great deep dish right there.
Yeah. It wasn't such a good draft by Moi. A 2-out walk to Jordan Pacheco. Second time he's walked today, and Jordan's been a difficult guy to walk. He had just 6 walks coming into the ballgame. Check it, 7 walks coming into the ballgame. Now he's got 9. Chris Nelson at the plate. 113 pitches in for Edinson Volquez.
Yeah, he's thrown as many as 115. That was his last start against the Mariners.
Nelson hasn't gotten one in play against Volquez. 2 strikeouts for Chris. I asked him earlier, I said, "You miss pitching at all?" He said, "No." That's a big arm, though. You hit triple digits.
You know, I would guess if you ask a lot of position players if they'd want to pitch, a lot of them would say no. And they think they can. It's just a different angle. You're up on a hill, you're pitching, you're throwing downhill, unlike throwing on an infield on flat ground. Then everybody knows that the pitcher is the greatest athlete on the field anyway. Right?
Or so you've told me.
Many times.
Padres up 3-2. Pacheco at first, 0-2 on Chris Nelson.
That was an overthrow. I mentioned that earlier about Volquez. That front side will start to open up a little bit. The head will leak towards the first base dugout. And that's tough to get that pitch down and away where you want it. And there you see the breakdown. Pitch number 117 coming your way.
And a soft line drive off a broken bat to short. Now Marista has it, and the Rockies are done in the 6th. Edinson Volquez will walk off with his team leading 3-2. We're off to the 7th. We'll return to Denver after word from your local Fox station. America, presented by Budweiser. At Coors Field, the Rockies and Padres not producing a lot of runs to, I think, many surprise. Well pitched game by Edinson Volquez. The Padres up 3-2. Christian Friedrich allowed 1 run in 5 innings. The Rockies utilizing a 4-man kind of tandem pitching rotation right now. And Guthrie, Jeremy Guthrie, the piggyback guy, gave up 2 runs in the 6th inning on the 2-run home run by Yasmani Grandal. And now in his 2nd inning of work, he'll face Alexi Amarista. And Amarista gives it a ride to deep center field. This one is way back, and he's hit it out. The smallest man in the yard, Alexi Amarista. He hit the grand slam the other night in Houston. And the diminutive shortstop just hit one about 430. How about that pop?
Well, he might be listed at 5'7", but he swings a big bat. You mentioned that home run in Houston being the grand slam out of the hand of Brett Myers. That one was a slider down and in. Guthrie tries to throw a little backdoor breaking ball. He stays on it, and the little guy's got a lot of pop. He's not afraid to swing it.
Well, he and Jose Altuve went back-to-back down in Houston. Altuve's listed at 5'6", and it was a dead heat. So, Amarista, we love your swing, but you're lying. You're fudging on the height.
Yeah.
Beautiful swing, though, buddy. 4-2 San Diego. That is the 17th home run now allowed by Jeremy Guthrie, which is tied for 2nd most. This is bunted in the air, and Rosario makes the catch. The pinch hitter Will Venable is out.
Well, as we mentioned, Alexi Amarista, he is not afraid to swing the shillelagh. You know, he doesn't strike out a whole bunch. He doesn't walk a whole bunch. He just tries to square it up. And I like his aggressiveness out of the box. You know, a lot of guys might sit back and admire that. But he was busting it right out of the box on contact.
That's a long way to center field.
Yes, it is.
Chris Denorfia, 2 for 3 in the ball game. He had 2 of the 5 hits allowed by Friedrich. So 17 home runs allowed by Guthrie, who had a reputation for getting a lot of ground balls when the Rockies acquired him from Baltimore in the Jason Hamill deal and the Matt Lindstrom deal. And Hamill's had a borderline all-star season for Baltimore. And Guthrie has scuffled here in Denver. The sliders in the dirt, 1-2.
You know as well as anybody, Drew. You know, in fact, this road trip for the Padres, I call it the no lead is safe tour. After the Padres finish up here in Colorado, they'll go to Arizona. But it started in Houston, so you can see where I'm going with that.
Sure. Two. Check it out at first. No swing, says Vic Carapazza. Well, the NL West is very interesting from a ballpark standpoint. You have 3 of the best pitchers parks in the game in Petco,
right?
Dodger Stadium and AT&T in San Francisco, and then 2 of the best hitting parks, Coors Field clearly, and also in Arizona. The Dyer will block it with the body. Another base hit for Denorfia, his 3rd of the ball game. Now it's time for the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. Yasmani Grandal, first player with a home run from both sides of the plate in the same game for first 2 career hits since at least 1974. We got to look back even further, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, just as the Padres can count on Grandal, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
You know, I'm a big baseball fan. I mean, I growing up, you know, in the late 60s, early 70s, loved that era of baseball. And I'm not a betting man, but I would bet the ranch that's got to be a first.
I would think for a kid to go deep twice for his first 2 hits, both sides of the plate. First career start. I can't imagine that
and he
having happened prior.
He almost went yard at Petco Park when he was first called up for a day or two. It was a pinch hit, and he flied out deep to left field from the left side of the plate. Warning track. I mean, off the bat. Everybody thought it had a chance. So he's got some legitimate pop.
Well, say a month from now, if he doesn't mix in a single or a double, it'll really be a story. I mean, if all the hits just are home runs after home run. Huh? That young lady got the first home run ball, and hopefully she's going to come out with a nice piece of Padre or memorabilia.
Sure, maybe an autographed bat or something, or a hat.
Ground ball is short. Scudero moves his feet well. There's one. Nelson on to first. Double play. Logan Forsythe grounds into the 6-4-3. It's 4-2 San Diego. Alexi Amarista going deep. Stretch time at Coors Field. Share everything. It's a plan that revolves around you, only from Verizon. One of the great concert venues in the country, Red Rocks Amphitheater. Just about a 20-minute drive from lower downtown Denver. Padres at Coors Field leading the Rockies 4-2. As we've arrived at the bottom of the 7th inning, Willeen Rosario, who hit a home run earlier in the ball game, will lead things off for the Rockies, and the Padres have gone to their bullpen. Dale Thayer will take over. Game time temperature around 93 degrees today. Dexter Fowler kind enough to wear a microphone this afternoon, and he's aware more than most how hot it is.
Gucci. Hey, what's up, baby? Hey, what's up, baby? How you doing? Hey, the umpire's in water. She said he wants water, bet. I was way out here and I was running out of gas. Yeah, I was way up here.
Sounds of the game. Dexter Fowler will hit third this inning. Rosario and then Tyler Colvin will pinch hit. And Dexter Fowler Will Venable stays in the ball game in right field. Chris DeNorfia has come out. Rosario got a hanging curveball that probably, Mud, was out of the strike zone, and then it was out of the ballpark.
It was a hanging curveball, and you could see there was that little bit of a stop in his swing because he recognized the hanging breaking ball, kept his hands back nicely, and got enough of the top hand on it to send it on its way towards the shrubbery in center field.
So here we go in the 7th. And Dale Thayer's first pitch, a fastball at 95. He kind of slings it across there. It's strike one. Rosario, over his last 12 ball games, hitting .333, 4 home runs. He's knocked in 10 and he scored 10. And he pulls this down the line just foul. Quickly a 2-strike count.
Well, Dale Thayer has been a pleasant surprise for the Padres because when Houston Street went on the DL with that pulled latissimus dorsi.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Dale Thayer filled in to be the closer. He was 5 for 6. He throws a good fastball at 95, good power breaking ball, and a changeup to boot. Always working from the stretch. The Yosemite Sam look-alike with that sweet mustache he's sporting out there.
Sounded like an aspiring trainer. And Rosario got tied up in knots on the high heat from Yosemite Sam Thayer. Tyler Colvin with 1 out will pinch hit. How about his last 14 games? Hitting .389, 12 extra base hits, including 5 home runs. And on the homestand, you see he's been unconscious. Last night he threw out an RBI triple in a start. As part of a 4-run 6th inning for the Rockies. It was a 2-0 ball game. They kind of broke it wide open from there.
Love looking at the scorecard in the dugout. Everybody has their own certain system, and the dots and who's going to lead off and who's pinch hitting and who's hitting where. You can put Thayer if you're scoring at home. See DeNorfia crossed up. Thayer, Dale Thayer in the leadoff spot for the Padres.
How about the line for Edinson Volquez? I want to talk about strange. 6 innings. He allows 2 runs, 1 earned. Just 3 hits. He walked 6. And he struck out 8. So he filled up every column.
But the most important column is hopefully he's looking at a W tomorrow in the paper.
You know what? He's pitched his team to a 2-run lead.
Well, it's a big inning for the Padres and Dale Thayer because when they lead after 7, the Padres are 20-1. 20-1 when leading after 7.
And that doesn't surprise, I think, fans of the National League West, because when the Padres have been good, their bullpen has typically been lights out. And even in some of the lean years, if they carry a lead to the 7th inning, to your point, they have some shutdown guys. Luke Gregerson, you know, is coming up in the 8th inning.
That's why there's a lot of 1-run games. Not a lot of offense, good pitching.
Thayer with another strikeout. So Volquez struck out 8, and now Thayer's come out of the pen. He struck out the first 2.
And a couple of bad hacks on each strikeout. He's trying to go hard away with the fastball. He's telling Colvin, you know what, I'm going to challenge you. 2-1. He's still saying, here it is. See how far you can hit it. And then he pulls the string in the backdoor breaking ball. Colvin looks sick on that swing, so 2 quick outs for the right-hander Thayer. He liked that last breaking ball to Colvin. I don't think it's where he wanted it, but he got away with it with the bad pitch.
Fowler takes ball 1. Dexter bunt hit his last time up. 1 for 3. So Jeremy Guthrie's line, not as pretty. 2 innings. He gave up 3 runs, all earned a couple of home runs.
Another thing about Thayer, he pounds the zone. When he was first called up, to San Diego from the minor leagues. He went a scoreless inning streak for like 11 or 12 innings without walking a hitter.
Well, if you want to work late in ball games, you better throw strikes, and you better be consistent with it. Here's the 2-2 to Fowler. And the changeup misses. 3-2. Fowler worked out in the offseason in Las Vegas with Tulowitzki and Giambi, and added a great deal of strength. So much so he's on pace to hit more than 20 home runs. His career high prior was 6. He's got 10 right now. 1, 2, 3 innings for Dale Thayer. 4-2 Padres off to inning number 8. Eighth inning with Mark Grant. I'm Drew Goodman. Adam Ottavino from Brooklyn, New York, and Northeastern College on the hill for the Rockies here in the 8th inning. And Chase Headley, the 3-hole hitter for the Padres, takes ball 1. Story of the day: the catcher for the Padres, who will be up 3rd this inning, Yasmani Grandal. First career start. Switch hitters, hit a home run righty, hit a 2-run home run lefty.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Keeps this up, will get called up to the next league.
You know, Drew, when you look at those balls off the bat of Grandal, fair to say, probably out at any ballpark?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the misnomers about Coors Field. It relinquishes a lot of runs, but this ball toward the hole, a base hit. It's more about the big gaps and the vast expanse of the outfield and less about balls going over the wall. You still have to square it up and hit it out of here. There's a lot of ballparks to relinquish more home runs. All-Star Game festivities begin tomorrow with the Selection Show on TBS. Then on July 9th, don't miss the Home Run Derby on ESPN. And on Tuesday, July 10th, see the players arrive on the Red Carpet Show on MLB Network. Followed by the 2012 All-Star Game here on Fox at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 out west. Carlos Quentin is 0 for 2. Hit by a pitch in the 6th inning. He came home on the 2-run shot by Grandal.
Well, the Padres trying to add on here as this game gets late, and 4 could be the magic number. Padres are 17-12 when scoring 4 or more runs, and as we speak, they lead 4-2. See, this is the difference in the lineup, Drew, right here. This situation, pitcher working out of the stretch, and Quentin at the plate with some serious pop and a runner on.
Headley takes off, swung on and missed. Headley will get a stolen base. And an opportunity for Bud Black to be aggressive with a rare late inning lead.
Great jump, and you see Rosario cannot find the handle. And once again, the good old-fashioned pop-up slide from Chase Headley, getting into scoring position.
10th bag for Headley, who you wouldn't call a speed guy,
no,
but he's a situational base stealer.
He'll pick his spots.
Right now, Jim Tracy can hardly look. Ottavino misses up top with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He's done a good job for the Rockies. Picked up off waivers from the Cardinals. Cardinals had him stretched out, battling for a spot in their rotation in spring training. And he's done a good job for the Rockies, working out of the pen. He's worked himself into the typically the plus side of the pen.
Well, Ottavino, fastball, slider, changing the curve. He's mid-90s on that fastball. And this is one of the areas where the Padres have really lacked this year. Runners in scoring position. Today 0 for 4 for the Friar.
Well, they're on a historically bad pace. They're hitting .208 with runners in scoring position. As you go back to 1974, we always seem to go back to 1974.
It was a great year.
Wonderful year. It was 11.
I was as well.
There you go. No team has hit that low for a season with runners in scoring position. If the Padres were to sustain this, it would be the worst mark in 38 years. (3-2) on Quentin, and Ottavino's walked him, so now 2 are on for Grandal. About the only thing he hasn't done today is hit a 3-run homer. Here's tonight's Burger King smooth play of the game, or in this case, plays. A right-handed home run, first career hit, a bomb for Grandal, gets a silent treatment in the dugout, and then with his club trailing 2-1, he hits one out to left field to make amends for a throwing error that allowed a run to score. And this time, no silent treatment.
Drew, you know what's amazing about what you just said? The 3-run home run. The Padres in 2012 have yet to hit a 3-run home run.
That's remarkable. We're talking about June the 30th. What would Earl Reaver do? This ball's grounded foul.
He would pull Palmer and put in Terry Crowley to pinch hit. That's what he would do.
It's been a while since we've had a Terry Crowley reference. Just in a ball game I've been working. Nice, Bud. That's fouled off. Well, his first full day in the big leagues, if you will, as a starter, Grandal has entered only the big league record books, but the Padre record books for sure. He's the 4th Padre to hit a home run from both sides of the plate in the same game. Ken Caminetti, the late Ken Caminetti, did it 7 times. Jeff Blum did it. Milton Bradley did it. 0-2 in the dirt. If you're the Rockies, you're down a couple of runs, which at this ballpark is typically nothing, but there's 2 on and there's nobody out.
Interesting to see how Grandal approaches this at bat. Being in hole 0-2, he just spit on a breaking ball down and away to go 1-2. His recognition of the pitch is out of the hand of Ottavino.
He was on that pitch.
Yeah, that was a backdoor breaking ball, it looked like.
Pretty short to the baseball, isn't it?
Yes, looking good. Short, quick.
Padres' last 3-homer game, Phil Nevin, ironically enough, against the Rockies.
A lot of pitches away from Ottavino to Grandal here at this at-bat.
Back up the middle. This could be 2. Scudero's got to circle the bag. He'll get there. And on to first. That's a nice play by Marco Scudero. 2 outs, runner at third. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian again at the MLB Network studios for a game break. Matt.
Drew, swinging A's in the Texas Rangers, 96 degrees in Arlington, and Josh Hamilton is heating up too. 3rd home run in his last 6 games. 25 for the year, puts him 1 off the major league lead. Back to Drew and Magra in Denver.
Matty V, favorite swinging A.
All-time favorite swinging A?
All-time swinging A with the white spikes.
Oh, that's an easy one. That's Campy Campaneris choking up, chopping the ball all around, playing all 9 positions, Mudcat. Come on now.
Gotta love it. 4-2 Padres. The Rockies are going to walk Alonso and go right on right with Maben.
Matty V from the East Bay, big swinging A fan.
Bert Campaneris. And Bo McLaughlin's going to get some arms going in the bullpen right now for Colorado. Maben's 0 for 3.
Yeah, and the
Jim Tracy's jogging out, so he doesn't have the hook. He wants to have a discussion, and the entire infield's going to come in as well. Matt Reynolds, one of 2 lefties for the Rockies, will start tossing.
You know, this might be one of those situations where Tracy, you know, first of all, you always want to have a refresher course as far as scouting reports. They know that Cameron Maben is struggling at the plate. 0 for 3. They got a big run at third base for the Padres that they want to get in. Might be first pitch breaking ball here. Maben loves to hit the fastball. He hit a fastball well last night for a base hit. Hit the ball well. His second at bat in the 4th, it was a line drive to shortstop.
First and third with 2 outs. Padres up a couple of runs. It's a slider, and it was low on Maben. And that's fouled off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Maben hitting 179 with 2 outs. Runners in scoring position.
Well, that's the thing. We were talking about how poor the average is for the Padres with runners in scoring position. No hits today in that situation. And you alluded to 2 outs, runners in scoring position. How about a $158 for the year?
Yeah.
Maben's 178 actually brings it up. Here's the 1-1, swung on and missed, waved at a slider.
And in the situation, a lot going on here. Ottavino knows that Maben is struggling. Tracy reinforces that. Do you really have to throw him a strike? I'm thinking from a pitcher's standpoint here.
Well, if you're out there, you'd spin another slider.
I'm spinning another slider down. I'm not throwing him a fastball for a strike or a breaking ball for a strike to speed up his bat in the strike zone.
He went fastball and he gets burned by it. He just punched it to right field. 5-2 San Diego. It was a defensive swing, but it was a heater up and over the plate. And Cameron Maben, the struggling Cameron Maben, comes through.
He missed big time. Big time. He wanted that pitch down and away. And you can see how excited Cameron Maben is. Short, quick to the baseball. We talked about that. You try to pull that pitch, it's going to run into trouble. Maybe a fly ball to the outfield. And nobody needs that more than Cameron Maben.
That'll bring up Alexi Amarista, who hit a home run over the center field wall his last time up. Maben thrilled with that as he's greeted by Dave Roberts at first. Now, when you get a situation, when you're sitting up here and you pitch a long time in the big leagues and you're saying, boy, that begs for a breaking ball away, a slider away. He hasn't demonstrated that he can A, identify it or B, hit it. And you get a fastball. Is it on the young catcher behind the plate, or is it still the responsibility of the guy who's operating on the hill?
I think it's the responsibility of the pitcher. If he agrees to throw that, it's not so much the pitch, it's the location of that pitch. That's what amazed me with the fastball. If you're going to try to throw a fastball down and away and you miss up and over the plate like you did with Ottavino did to Maben, that's on Ottavino. But I get your point. Should he have thrown him a slider? Maybe. But it's never, I've been a firm believer, it's never the pitch. It's the location of the pitch. Just because the guy can hit a fastball doesn't mean you can't throw him a fastball. A well-located fastball will get him out.
Makes sense.
Hitter has a slider speed bat. Doesn't mean you can't throw him a slider, right? It's where that slider is thrown.
Look out. Two balls, two strikes to count. Alexi Amarista out of the Angels organization. Acquired in early May. And this ball's well hit to right center. Amarista has hit two. And there's your three-run home run, Padre fans. First three-run bomb of the year. And the Padres have turned this thing into a blowout. With the long ball, a team that coming in and hit the fewest home runs in the National League.
We talk about hitting mistakes. Amarista gets a mistake. And it was a slider down and in Houston where he hit the grand slam off of Brett Myers. This was a slider. It was down, caught too much of the plate. And Ottavino can only take off the hat and scratch the dome.
Will Venable, 8-2 San Diego.
Little guy's got some pop now.
Well, see, I think if Bud Black right now is saying, all right, let me. He's doing his lineup in his head for tomorrow. He's got keep Quentin 4. I got Grandal 5. Maybe move Headley down to 2, and I'll put Amarista 3.
Not a bad idea. But Buddy thinks along these lines. You know, sure, he's building up confidence right now, that number 8 spot. And you know, Drew, in the National League, the number 8 spot is a tough spot to hit.
Absolutely.
He might just leave him there because he's having some success there. And it's nice to have a little bit of pop, you know, in that lineup. You know, you talk about Headley, good at bats, and got Quentin. Keep that bat the way he's swinging it in the number 8 spot.
So how about this storyline? Yasmani Grandal, first career start today. He had one at bat prior to today. Hits 2 home runs, one righty, one lefty. Alexi Amarista, who hit his first home run in Houston just the other day, hits his second and third home run today. Gotta love Coors Field, they're saying to themselves. 8-2, Alexi Amarista. by Budweiser, is sponsored by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB, and by Samsung. The next big thing is here. Beautiful early evening in Denver, Colorado. The mountains in the distance, and the first pitch from Dale Thayer, who will continue on in the 8th inning, is strike one on Marco Scutaro. 8-2, the Padres leading. They scored 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, and 4 in the 8th. Two unlikely sources for home runs. Unlikely in the case of Yasmani Grandal, only because he just got here. And then the young shortstop Alexi Amarista, the 5'6" shortstop Amarista. 0-2 on Scutaro. Venable makes the catch. Carlos Gonzalez coming up. Only 7 players in baseball have compiled the following since 2010. A 300 batting average, 75 or more home runs, 250 or more ribbies in the last 2.5 years. And that's a good group to be part of. Hamilton and Votto, Konerko, Miguel Cabrera, even the great Albert Pujols can't come to that party. Albert just barely missed the list, hitting .299. Adrian Beltre's close. He's got 73 home runs.
He's going to be one of those perennial, I think, all-stars, and one of those players where you pencil in every year those numbers: home runs, RBIs, average.
He's hit into 2 double plays today. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got an 18-game Coors Field hitting streak on the line. Padres have erupted for 8 runs, and he's got a 19-game hitting streak. Hard to keep a good man down. He has tremendous plate coverage.
Yes, he does. That's a good point. And Thayer is going to challenge Carlos Gonzalez with the 8-2 lead. He's going to throw him a fastball, a well-located fastball away. What a pretty swing from Gonzalez. You know, there are balls that are squared up that are home runs. There are line drives and also ground balls. He squares up grounders. Everything he puts into place seems like it's squared up.
Well, you know this
majority of the time.
Yeah, you know this from playing a long time. They're guys, even at this level, that when you watch, whether it be BP or in the game, the ball does sound different coming off their bat, and he's one of those guys. Kadire takes a slider away. 1 ball, 1 strike. So the Padres with 8 runs. This is a good week for some Padre teams of late. Just the 7th time this year they've scored 8 or more in a game.
And not many times this year that the Padres have put up crooked numbers. They have shown some late life at times. You know, they split the series in Houston before coming to Colorado, 2-2. And even in the games they lost, they showed some late fight. Thanks to that man, Alexi Amarista, with his grand slam in Houston. And today it's all about Yasmani Grandal, the rookie catcher.
And you made this point earlier, Mud. He's done a really good job receiving today.
I was just going to say that, Drew. Let's not discount him behind the plate, what he's done. He looks great back there. Doing a fine job receiving.
Count runs full on Kadire. One of Kadire's avocations is doing card tricks. This is bounced to short. He's got to get up the line. It's dropped. Safe there. That was not a transition for Logan Forsythe. He just dropped the baseball. So Gonzalez is safe. And they're 2 on with 1 out. Second error of the day for San Diego.
It was a perfect throw. It looks like Forsythe just wanted to rush the throw to first base. The throw was right at the belt buckle. It's exactly where Amarista wants to throw it. That's exactly where Forsythe expects it.
And we'll get a pitching change. He didn't look it into the glove. 8-2 San Diego. Rockies trying to capitalize on a miscue in the middle of the diamond. They have two on. Todd Helton at the plate, and Joe Thatcher, veteran left-hander for the Padres, is in the ballgame. Gonzalez at second, Kadire at first, and a big cut, no baseball for Todd Helton. Todd is 1 for 3 in the ballgame.
And Todd Helton 3 for 12, a lifetime off of Joe Thatcher, the left-handed specialist for Bud Black's San Diego Padres.
Helton was a first-round pick of the Rockies back in '95, but '92 coming out of high school. The Padres drafted Helton in the second round and came within a whisker of signing him. That's tough, man. That drop-down sweeper.
Well, you know how I talked about Friedrich throwing downhill? He gets that action.
Yes.
It's almost like Joe Thatcher throws uphill. It gives you that illusion that he's throwing uphill. He's not, but he's got that low three-quarter arm angle. He's the modern-day Jesse Orosco for the Padres, because he'll, over the course of a season, he'll be in 70 games, but he'll only throw 40 innings. He's in this game to get Helton out. If there's another left-hander hitting behind him, he'll stay in for a couple lefties.
No, Jesse had a long and prosperous career. And Helton.
That's some pitching right there.
Helton is gone for the third time today. You don't see that frequently. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Jordan Pacheco.
What have I said about today and the pitchers making good pitches with the fastball, good located fastball? You cannot get hit down there. The deception of Joe Thatcher helps this, no question. He throws across his body, but that's a good fastball just below the knees to get Helton swinging. Another great thing about Joe Thatcher back in 2005. This kid's pitching an independent ball for River City.
This ball pulled through the left side, a base hit for Pacheco. Chicago will come home and score the third run for the Rockies, 8-3. That'll bring up Chris Nelson. Sixteenth RBI for Pacheco. And Bud Black on his way to the hill to take the baseball from Joe Thatcher. Another pitching change back right after this. Saturday evening, a holiday weekend, 4th of July around the corner. Along with Mark Grant, I'm Drew Goodman. The Padres took a 1-0 lead early, fell behind 2-1, took a 3-2 lead on a 2-run home run second of the game by Yasmani Grandal in his first big league start. And they blew it open last inning. They're up 8-3. Luke Gregerson, who throws a slider about 2/3 of the amount of time that he delivers the baseball, is on the hill to face Chris Nelson. 2 on and 2 outs.
Luke Gregerson over the course of this season, Drew, has inherited 12 runners. Now it knocks that up to 14. Only 2 have scored off of Luke. And like you said, it's all about the slider. Good tilt on the slider, not a power slider, but good tilt on that pitch.
And he starts out Nelson. That was a fastball.
That looked like a backup slider, actually, kind of backed up a little bit. Sometimes the backup slider will have the illusion of that sinker. If he doesn't get it out in front, he might throw him a fastball here away.
And Nelson bit on the slider. And it's a 2-strike count. Nelson's 0 for 3 this afternoon. Back up the middle and on through a base hit. Here comes Michael Kadire to the plate. He'll score. Nobody covering second, and Nelson takes advantage. It is suddenly 8-4, and the Rockies are a knock away from making it 8-6. Smart base running by Chris Nelson.
There's a slider. He plays Pepper up the center of the diamond. Forsythe, he kind of backs up. Cameron Maben does the right thing. Throws in the general vicinity, but somebody's got to be at second base. I think it's Logan Forsythe that should be at second base. Amarista would be the cutoff man if, in fact, Cameron Maben wants to throw to third base. They're not going to do that. They want to try to hold Nelson at first.
They score it a double, and Willeen Rosario, who homered in the 5th, is up.
You know, a great job by Nelson seeing the play in front of him and seeing that nobody was occupying second base. He's going to take the 90 feet.
How big will that play be? Again, if Rosario throws out a base hit.
I think that's got to be the responsibility of Logan Forsythe to cover second base.
Here's the 0-1. 2-strike count. Watch Nelson out of the box.
Well, so he got to first base, pulled up a little bit, and then realized nobody was there.
Rosario, I said this earlier, struggles with the slider. There's the big man on deck, Giambi. Struggles with breaking pitches, though he did hit a hanging curveball out earlier in the ball game. Gregerson typically spins everything. Pacheco at third, Nelson at second. It is 8-4. Padres have out-hit the Rockies 11-6. And he got it. So Luke Gregerson takes care of Willeen Rosario. A couple runs for Colorado. Things tighten up a bit. 8-4 as we go to the ninth. Padres 8-4. Guillermo Moscoso will throw the ninth inning for Jim Tracy. Top of the order for San Diego. The top spot is the pitcher spot now after double switch a while back. So Mark Kotsay, who joined us earlier in the ball game from the dugout, This is his role now with the Padres, and he will hit here in the 9th inning, leading off then Logan Forsythe and Chase Headley. Moscoso has been one of those piggyback guys. He struggled his last outing. Gave up 8 runs on 8 hits in an inning and 2/3.
That'll hurt the ERA.
Yes. Look at Kotsay. 313 in his career, second highest among active players behind a former Rocky, Seth Smith, who's now applying his trade with the Oakland A's.
Kotsay's put together great at-bats, and once again the veteran realizes his role, gonna make the most of it. Last handful of at-bats, 5 to 7 at-bats, has been good ones. He's squared up the baseball nicely.
Not everybody can do that role. There's been a lot of good hitters that can't pinch hit.
It's about accepting the role, is it not?
I'll give you a guy who's one of the great hitters of the last 15 years who's traditionally been very poor on the rare occasion he's been asked to pinch hit. And that's Todd Helton. Strike 3 on Kotsay. Though he did have a pinch hit grand slam earlier this year. And Chris Ciccione hearing a little bit from Mark Kotsay. And Chris wearing a mic this evening.
Oh gosh. Ooh, baby. Hey, how's it going? Good. Nick, how you doing? Great. Willie. Great, how you doing? Oh yeah. Yeah, you too. Thanks. We go to Dodgers.
LA?
Dodgers and then Oakland. On the break.
You have off or you
off?
Working?
Yeah,
working?
I worked it last year.
All right, you going home? Where's home for you?
Right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many tickets do you
half that section?
He's a good guy, Chris Ciccione, and he's rapidly climbed the ladder. Very well respected young umpire. First full-time year was 09. He's been umpiring since 2000. And Moscoso is going to give up a double to Logan Forsythe with 1 out.
You know, there are athletes and then there are ball players. I think Logan Forsythe fills both roles, but he leans more towards a ball player. And the reason why I say that, the guy's a gamer. He'll run into a wall for you. He won't let an error affect his next at bat. He's made a couple errors out there at second base, but he'll come up the next time, next half inning or whatever it is, and put together a quality at bat. He doesn't let it affect his game. He erases it from the hard drive, which is something that's tough to do for a lot of players.
Absolutely. And we've also seen in baseball, and I'm sure you played with a number of these guys, whether it was in the minor leagues or even at the big league level, that were marvelous athletes but couldn't quite get over the hump as baseball players.
That's well put. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Strike 1 on Chase Headley. Singled and scored last inning. Chase hitting at .318 over his last 29 ball games. It was a 1-0 game going to the bottom of the 5th inning. Rockies scored 2-1. Now all of a sudden we have more of a Coors Field like score. It's 8-4.
Hey, you stay in slam range here, you've got a chance. You know that.
As the knees.
Seen some crazy things happen at this ball yard.
They call it Lodo Magic. You know what's amazing about Coors Field is you look around, 48,000 plus in the house. It's now the 3rd oldest ballpark in the National League, and it's the 2nd largest. Only Dodger Stadium's bigger. Only Wrigley and Dodger Stadium are older, and this facility opened in 1995. Still immaculate, though.
Absolutely. They do a great job here.
Just a wonderful place to watch a ball game.
Hey, it was electric at Mile High when the first year. I tried to get people out as a Rocky over there at the other place.
Yeah.
Didn't succeed. But what I'm saying is electric. The fans are great.
If it makes you feel better, you were not alone. Strike 3 on the outside corner. Headley's dismissed. And now it's his turn to be not pleased. For you Padre fans, tune in tomorrow on Fox Sports San Diego for the final game of this series. Coverage will begin at 11:30 Pacific. You ready for that, Mike?
I'm ready to tee it up.
That baby. Carlos Quentin with 2 outs and Forsythe at second.
Can't beat fun at the old ball yard. Living the dream coming to the yard, Drew.
Yeah,
come on.
Never a bad day at the park. Quentin's 0 for 2. Hit by a pitch and also a walk. Stanford product. There's been a few of those in the big leagues.
Mike Mussina.
It's Grandal. First time 2 Padres hit 2 home runs in the same game since 07. When it was Adrian Gonzalez and Milton Bradley.
You remember Jeffrey Hammonds, right?
Sure. Played here. Had a very good year with the Rockies.
Stanford guy.
Yes. Jeffrey Hammonds was an all-star with the Rockies. And Quentin hits this ball to deep center field. Fowler going back, and he will make the catch right in front of the wall. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Padres leading 8-4 in Denver. Night in America, presented by Budweiser. Sellout crowd at Coors Field. Right now, they're not too pleased with the scoreboard because the visiting Padres have an 8-4 lead. They've out-hit the Rockies 12-6. And the former Rocky closer, Houston Street, will be asked by Bud Black to get the final 3 outs. First man he'll face will be Johnny Herrera off the bench, then Dexter Fowler and Marco Scudero. Houston Street's been very good for the Padres. More on him in a moment. A couple other changes defensively. Alexi Amarista, very versatile. He'll move from shortstop to left field. And Everett Cabrera, who also has Rockies ties. He came up in the Rockies minor league system. He'll take over at shortstop. Houston is third on the Rockies all-time list in saves with 84. Traded in the offseason to the Padres for Nick Schmidt, who's now throwing in Tulsa for Colorado, their AA affiliate Texas League. Here's Johnny Herrera. And on the outside corner for a strike. But Houston's a rare three-pitch closer. Normally the closers, here it comes, fastball and a slider, fastball and a split, two-pitch closer.
Right.
He utilizes the slider and the changeup as well.
He does, and he's a master at the control, and you know that. You saw him work his craft here in Colorado. He's done such a great job. He's got a 4-run pad right here. He's perfect in save situations, even though this isn't a save situation. 11 for 11, but it's all about hitting his spots. And he had that pulled lat on his right side. And I'll tell you what, everybody kind of held their breath. He has bounced back after that injury quite nicely. But he'll backdoor the slider, he'll locate that fastball, and then he'll drop a changeup. And a rarity, not a lot of closers go from the full windup. Houston Street goes from the full windup.
Yeah, that is unusual. 2 strikes to count on Johnny Herrera. 8-4 San Diego.
Great team guy too, Houston Street.
There's the changeup, and he just missed with it. Saved 88.5% of his save opportunities with the Rockies, which is their best mark all time. 1-2. Strike 3 on Herrera. So Houston Street located that fastball, and he's got the first out in the 9th.
Well, remember in the Padre half of the 9th inning, in the top half, Mark Kotsay was called a fastball down and away. He didn't like it. Chase Headley the same. Is Chris Guccione being consistent with that fastball down and away? It's definitely high enough above the knees, and he gives him the call off the outside corner.
Dexter Fowler 1 for 4. Good looking breaking ball, and it's quickly a 2-strike count.
You know, when we were in Oakland recently playing the Athletics, saw something for the first time ever. Houston Street came into the 8th working from the stretch because he had to get hot quickly. After he completed that inning, he went back to the bullpen to continue throwing because he wasn't comfortable out of the windup, because he came in and had to work from the stretch. So he went back down to the bullpen. Not because his arm wasn't hot, he just wanted to get that feel. So when he went out for the 9th, he'd have that feel again going from the windup. Yeah. First time I've ever seen that.
I've never seen that. That would be a first.
It was like a spring training game. You know, guys will pitch spring training, then they go to the bullpen and get their work in.
Sure.
Big league ball game. Houston Street did it.
2 outs, nobody on. Marco Scudero. Padre pitchers have struck out 14 Rockies today. Volquez struck out 8. Thayer struck out 2. Thatcher got 1. Gregerson got 1. Street's got 2. That's a season high for the Friars.
Pound in the zone, being aggressive.
2-0.
Hey, Drew, I know there's a lot of baseball left, right? It's not over till the last out, but it's been a pleasure working with you, my man.
It is always good to see you, and a great pleasure to work with you, obviously. And I just wish we had an opportunity to show everybody your socks.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, because you always compliment me on ties, and I always compliment you on your in your socks. This is up the middle. Cabrera's there. And we'll have to wait till the next time to see Mud's socks.
Stay tuned. ...